Chapter 61:19. The drifter reappeared. Yunchujo said unhappily, "Why would I hide it for no reason? Besides, don't you stare at the mask all day long? How did you lose it all of a sudden? Could it be that the thief is calling for the thief?" Sha-mo was so angry that he was trembling. "If I could put the mask away, I would have put it away long ago. Why would I wait for now? Are you trying to use the mask to blackmail me, so you hid the mask?" Yunchujo pouted. "I have plenty of ways to threaten you. Why would I use that broken mask for no reason?" "Oh right, when did the mask disappear?" Sha-mo was dumbfounded by this question. Although he valued the mask very much, and he kept a close eye on it at the beginning, as time went by, he felt that it was very safe in the spiritual beast bag, so he paid his respects to it sooner or later. He did not pay too much attention to it in the middle. Just now, when he was about to pay his respects, he realized that the mask was gone. As for when it was gone, he really didn't pay attention to it. Yunchujo asked Buttface and the others, "Do you have any clues?" The silly cuties shook their heads one after another. They weren't that old fool, Sha-mo, who would stare at a broken mask for no reason. Only the red shadow rabbit in the corner had a twinkle in its eyes. Others didn't pay attention to it, but he saw it. Just as the little devil's hair was burning, the mask disappeared. However, he did not plan to tell Yunchujo. He was very sad that the Divine Devil Temple had been destroyed, but when he heard that the higher-ups of the Divine Devil Temple had all died because of the spiritual imprint, he felt a little sad. He did not know whether he was angry or grateful towards Yunchujo. She had imprisoned him here without any dignity, but if it were not for her, he might have also died because of the spiritual imprint. At that moment, he did not know how to face Yunchujo, so he temporarily decided to watch coldly from the sidelines. Yunchujo and Sha-mo searched the spiritual beast bag thoroughly, but they could not find the red mask. Yunchujo said to Sha-mo, who looked like he had nothing left to live for, "That red mask is very strange. Previously, when we were in the desert, it would sneak away by itself. Maybe this time, it went somewhere to play and will come back in 2 days." Sha-mo's face was full of tears. "I'm sorry to His Majesty the Demon Emperor. I'm really useless. I'm just a good-for-nothing." Seeing that he would not stop, Yunchujo had no choice but to coax him. "Maybe that Demon Emperor is real, so the mask went to look for him." Sha-mo's crying stopped abruptly. "What you said makes sense. It must be so. Quickly think of a way to enter the palace. I want to confirm it." Yunchujo comforted him perfunctorily, and Sha-mo finally stopped crying. After all this, it was already late at night. Yunchujo pondered for a while about what had happened today, and soon fell asleep. As soon as she fell asleep, wisps of red mist drifted out from between her brows. It was the drifters who had disappeared for a long time. The drifters were very smug in the bedroom. They made a mess of the things in the bedroom and even lifted Hei Shinjo up and threw her on the ground. What was strange was that no one, including Hei Shinjo or Qing Mama and the others in the side room, noticed the disturbance. The 3 foodies in Yunchuji's dantian noticed it, but they didn't do anything and didn't wake Hei Shinjo up. The red drifters struggled for a while. When the sky was about to brighten, they hid between Yunchuji's brows again, leaving only a mess. When Yunchujo opened her eyes, she was completely dumbfounded. Chapter 61:20. Goei Batsao snitch. Yunchujo looked at the mess in the house with her mouth agape, then looked at the bed not far away. What was going on? Could it be that she was sleepwalking? She did not have such a problem. However, how could Qing Mama and the others not notice such a big commotion? At this time, Chuyue and Dong Shui knocked on the door and came in to serve. When they saw the situation in front of them, they were also dumbfounded. "Ninth Miss, what happened to you?" They were puzzled. This ninth miss had a long temper. She actually imitated other masters and started to smash things. However, why didn't they hear any movement? Could it be that she was sleeping too hard? Upon hearing the movement, Qing Mama also ran over. Just as she was about to teach Yunchujiu a lesson, she thought of the spiritual stones that she had gotten yesterday and said to Chiyue and Dong Shui in a bad mood, "What are you still standing there for? Hurry up and help Miss Jiu up. First, help Miss Jiu to my room to rest. After breakfast, you guys clean up this place." Qiu Yu and Dong Shui had always listened to Qing Mama's words. They immediately helped Yunchujiu to Qing Mama's room. After breakfast, Qing Mama sent Qiu Yu and Dong Shui away and asked with concern, "Miss Jiu, even if you are unhappy, don't vent your anger on something. It doesn't matter if the thing is destroyed, but what will happen if your injury worsens?" Yunchujiu's heart was filled with bitterness, but she couldn't explain anything, so she could only answer vaguely. Qing Mama asked a few more questions and then hurried out. Without asking, Yunchujiu knew that Qing Mama must have gone to exchange for magic crystals. As soon as Qing Mama left, He Xinjiu asked Dumeng, who was in the spirit beast bag, what had happened last night. Dumeng was at a loss. In an instant, they had lost contact with Yunchujiu's spiritual sense, so they had no idea what had happened. Yunchujiu was even more confused. Why did she have the habit of sleepwalking on the demon continent? After Qiu Yu and Dong Shui tidied up the house, they helped Yunchujiu back to her own house. The Gowei Batsao in her dantian kept begging for food. Yunchujiu said unhappily, "Eat, eat, eat. All you know is to eat." Gowei Batsao tried its best to show that it wanted control of the body. He Xinjiu did not know what it wanted to do, so she gave it control of the body. Gowei Batsao waved its arms a few times and said excitedly, "I heard that the medicinal pills of the demon race taste pretty good. Think of a way to get more so that you can nourish me properly. I lost half my life for you previously. If you don't treat me properly, will you be able to live up to your own conscience?" Yunchujiu snorted coldly, "Nourish me pro-pearl. Did I not nourish you enough in the past year? You ate more medicinal herbs than De Hua, that good for nothing." Previously, Gowei Bakao's vitality had been greatly damaged. Yunchujiu had collected many high-grade herbs and pills to feed it. Finally, it had almost fully recovered. Gowei Batsao said embarrassedly, "I am still young and still growing. Naturally, I have eaten more. As long as you give me some demon pills to eat in the future, I will tell you a secret." "Okay, go ahead." Yunchujiu agreed very quickly. Gowei Batsao immediately gloated, "It wasn't you who was sleepwalking last night. It was those drifters who did it." Gowei Batsao was proud in its heart. It was killing two birds with one stone. Not only could it get the demon elixirs in exchange for fawning over the little girl, it could also secretly kill an opponent who was competing for the favor. Drifters? Yunchujiu was stunned. Those drifters hadn't come out to show off for a long time. Why did they suddenly start acting like demons again? Chapter 61-21, Rumors. After Yunchujiu regained control of her body, she found an excuse to send Qiu Yu and Dong Shui out of the courtyard. After the two of them left, she pressed her forehead with her hand and said in a bad mood, "Drifters, all of you get out here." However, Yunchujiu waited for a while, but there was no response. Yunchujiu rolled her eyes and softened her tone, "Little babies, come out. I will play with you for a while." However, although Yunchujiu sensed an excited emotion in her spiritual sense, the drifters still did not show up. He Xinjiu had been threatening and enticing them for a while, but the drifters still did not show up. He Xinjiu was so angry that she rolled her eyes. First, her hair was burned by the pheasant, then the red mask mysteriously disappeared, and now the drifters were jumping around again. Who did she offend? In the afternoon, Qing Mama came back. Qing Mama handed over half of the magic crystals to He Xinjiu and hesitated. Seeing this, Yunchujiu said, "Mama, if you have something to say, just say it." "What's wrong?" Qing Mama gritted her teeth and said, "Miss Jiu, when I went to the shop to exchange for the magic crystals today, I heard some rumors about you. They said that you are the lone star of heaven's bane, the star of calamity. If I don't kill you, everyone will suffer along with you. Qing Mama's old face was full of worry. She was not worried for Yun Shujiu but for herself. It was not easy for her to have more money. If this good-for-nothing was killed, where would she get the money? Yun Shujiu rolled her eyes and giggled. Mama, this is a good thing. Qing Mama felt that she must have gone crazy. She was almost a Death Star, yet she was still happy. If she wasn't crazy, then what was? Yun Shujiu did not explain. She took the snacks that Qing Mama bought for her and started eating. This Qing Mama was quite good at handling things. On this point, she would be more lenient when dealing with her in the future. Seeing her heartless look, Qing Mama could only sigh and leave. Sha Mo asked in puzzlement, "Are you really not worried? The demon race doesn't have the false benevolence of the human race. If your reputation as a scourge is confirmed, the Tian family will definitely not protect you. Besides, you are not favored to begin with, and no one will protect you. When the time comes, they will definitely hand you over. The demon race would usually burn you to death as a sacrifice to the demon god. It doesn't matter if you die. I don't want to die. I still have to serve His Majesty the Demon Emperor." Yun Shujiu did not answer. Instead, she asked, "Who do you think is behind these remarks?" Ever since Sha Mo returned to the demon race, his brain was a little better than before. He immediately said, "It's nothing more than the second prince or Tian Rulu. They would love for you to die." Yun Shujiu immediately snapped her fingers. "That's right. These two idiots gave me a good opportunity to rise to the top. Even if I can't rise to the top, I can still stomp on them." Sha Mo felt that his brain was not enough. Why was he getting more and more confused as he listened? Yun Shujiu did not explain to him. Instead, she held her chin and pondered. After a while, she called Qing Mama in. "Mama, grandmother grounded me. I can't leave the courtyard. Think of a way to see grandfather. Tell him that I have something important to tell him. It's about Kyle Wan." Qing Mama's head was shaking like a rattle drum. "Ninth Miss, how can I simply ask to see the family head? If I'm not careful, they'll be punished. I won't go." Chapter 61:22 Should she hand it in or not? Yun Shujiu placed a pile of spirit stones on the table. "Mama, you can take these spirit stones and arrange them. Only grandfather can save me now. Please be kind to me." Qing Mama hesitated for a moment and looked at the pile of shiny spirit stones. She gritted her teeth and said, "Okay, I'll give it a try." She thought to herself that at worst, she would just be beaten up, and it would be worth it to exchange for these spirit stones. Qing Mama was considered an old veteran in the Tian estate, and she also had many servants who were on good terms with her. After she found out the time when Tian Shefeng would return to the estate, she waited in the front yard early. It was not until evening that Tian Shefeng returned to the Tian estate with a sullen face. Qing Mama used her courage to approach him, and the guard behind Tian Shefeng immediately scolded, "How dare you? Don't you know the rules, old woman? Get lost." Qing Mama was so scared that her legs turned soft. However, she still gritted her teeth and said, "Master, our ninth miss said that she has something important to tell you." "Yes, it's about Kyle Wan." The guard was about to forcefully drag Qing Mama away when Tian Shefeng waved his hand. "What did you say just now? Say it again." Qing Mama repeated it again and said, "The ninth miss is grounded by the old lady. That's why she asked this old servant to pass on the message." Tian Shefeng narrowed his eyes. A moment later, he said, "Ask her to meet me in the study." Tian Shefeng left with the guard after saying that. Qing Mama wiped the cold sweat off her forehead and crawled back to meet He Xinjiu. She was stunned when she saw that He Xinjiu was fully dressed. "Ninth Miss, did you know that the master would meet you?" Yun Shujiu smiled brightly. "I have confidence in your ability, Mama. I know that you will definitely succeed." Qing Mama was dazzled by Yun Shujiu's smile. "Oh my, why does this Miss Jiu smile so beautifully? Could it be that her old eyes had gone blurry? When Qing Mama came back to her senses, she had already helped Yun Shujo out of the courtyard. Not long after they walked out, they coincidentally met Tian Rulis maid, Chun Xiao. Chun Xiao bowed to Yun Shujo. Just as she was about to speak, Qing Mama carried He Xinzhou and walked away like the wind. Qing Mama's thoughts were very simple. Since the master wanted to see Miss Zhou, it was better to hurry over. Chun Xiao's eyes flashed and hurriedly reported to Tian Rulu. Qing Mama helped Yun Shujo to Tian Shifeng's study and then left. She prayed to the devil god for protection in her heart, hoping that Yun Shujo would not cause trouble. However, just as one of her feet crossed the threshold, she heard He Xinzhou say, "Grandfather, hand me over. For the honor of our Tian residence, I will die without regrets." Bang! Qing Mama fell to the ground. Was this good-for-nothing Miss Zhou crazy? The guards could not stand it and dragged Qing Mama out of the courtyard like a dead dog. Tian Shifeng did not speak immediately after hearing Yun Shuji's words. He was not in a good mood today. Yesterday was supposed to be a day of showing his face, but it was because of this flower that the situation became out of control. Today, it was even more urgent and caused a storm in the city. Regardless of whether he handed her over or not, the result was not what he wanted to see. If he handed her over, the huge Tian family would not even be able to protect his own son. Wouldn't that be a joke? If he didn't hand it over, he would definitely become a weakness for the other families to attack the Tian family. After a moment of silence, Tian Shifeng coldly said, "Are you speaking the truth? Are you really willing to be handed over? Do you know what awaits you once you are handed over?" Chapter 61-24, How About I Marry You? If it was in the past, Tian Shifeng would have been furious long ago. However, when he thought of the plan that Yun Shujo had just mentioned, he snorted coldly and called the commander of the Tian residence's guards, Ling Shi, in. "Send Ruhua girl back. If Madam makes things difficult for her, just say that I asked her to come." Ling Shi immediately responded respectfully. He was puzzled in his heart. Why would the head of the family take such care of this good-for-nothing ninth miss? Hadn't he always ignored her before? Tian Shifeng glanced at Yun Shujo. "This is the only time. It won't happen again. You'd better take care of yourself." After thinking for a while, he added, "After this incident is settled, I will arrange a marriage for you. Don't go back to the Tian residence if you have nothing to do in the future." Yun Shujo, was he planning to kick her out? In your dreams. Qing Mama was pacing around outside. When she saw that Yun Shujo had finally come out, she wanted to ask about the result immediately, but when she saw Ling Shi behind Yun Shujo, she could only swallow her words. "Mama, look how much grandfather dotes on me. Originally, he wanted to send me back personally, but I rejected him politely. He asked Ling Shi to send me back. I'm so touched." Ling Shi's eyes twitched, but he didn't say anything. How could Qing Mama know the twists and turns? She looked at Yun Shujo differently, and her attitude was much more respectful than before. Qing Mama supported He Xinzhou while Ling Shi followed behind. They could see Yun Shuji's courtyard from afar. Yun Shujo blinked her eyes. "Ling Shi, I heard that your guards are good at hiding. You should be good as a guard commander, right?" Ling Shi said expressionlessly, "Yes." "Then you should hide first. Come out when I call you," He Xinzhou said with her eyes narrowed. "Miss Zhou, I'm only responsible for sending you to the courtyard. As for the rest," Yun Shujo tugged at her clothes and said with a smile, "If you don't do it, I'll say that you molested me. Anyway, grandfather wants to marry me off. How about I marry you?" Ling Shi. "I'll hide." Ling Shi's figure flashed and disappeared, hiding in the dark. Qing Mama was puzzled. "Ninth miss, what do you want to do?" Yun Shujo curled her lips. "Do what?" "Of course, I want to use chicken feathers as a token and use them to intimidate others." "Mama, my wound is a little painful, carry me." Qing Mama, for some reason, Qing Mama felt a chill on her back. She felt as if she had fallen into some big pit. Qing Mama hesitated for a moment, but she still carried He Xinjiu and comforted herself. For the sake of the spirit stones, she would carry He Xinjiu. As soon as the master and servant entered the courtyard, Du Mama, who was beside old lady Tian, said with a fake smile, "Ninth miss, old lady grounded you, but you ran out without permission. Old lady is very angry. The old lady asked me to whip you 100 times to let you learn your lesson. Come and receive your punishment." Qing Mama's legs went weak and she almost fell to the ground. 100 lashes? This was clearly to kill ninth miss. Yun Shijia's eyes flashed. She had to teach this slave a good lesson and frame Tian Rulu at the same time. "Du Mama, come here. I'll give you some good things," Yun Shujio said timidly. Du Mama curled her lips. She thought that Yun Shujio wanted to bribe her so that she would be lenient. She didn't want to give it up for nothing, so she walked up to Yun Shujio. Slap. Slap. Yun Shujio slapped Du Mama hard twice. Du Mama's face immediately swelled into a pig's head. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know your report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 6126 was not open for credit. Du Mama hated and was afraid. It was clearly not the case, but why did it change when it came to this trash's mouth? However, she had no way of explaining it. It seemed to be the truth. This trash did say that the master summoned her, but she did not believe it herself. However, if she had not slapped herself twice, she would not have lost her cool and anger. Could it be that she did it on purpose? Thinking of this, Du Mama pointed at Yun Shujio and said, "You clearly provoked me on purpose, that's why I said what I wanted to say." Yun Shujio looked at her and said, "I provoked you on purpose? You were disrespectful to me, shouldn't I slap you twice? Why did I provoke you? Do you think that your status is higher than mine? Or do you think that in grandmother's eyes, I, the direct granddaughter, can't be compared to you, a grandmother?" Du Mama was so choked that she almost passed out, unable to utter a single word. Yun Shujio continued, "Ling Shi, chop off the finger that she pointed at me just now. Otherwise, if the rules are messed up, wouldn't every servant be able to point their finger at their master?" Ling Shi looked at Yun Shujio with some surprise, but he didn't move. Yun Shujio tugged at her own clothes. "Ling Shi, you haven't taken a wife this year, right?" Ling Shi. They did not see how Ling Shi had attacked. They only heard a scream from Du Mama. The finger that had pointed at Yun Shujio had been cut off by Ling Shi's demonic chi. Du Mama was in pain, afraid, and angry. She choked and fainted. The women and maids that she had brought with her were so scared that they did not dare to say a word. They did not even dare to help Du Mama up and let her lie there like a dead dog. They could finally see that things were different now. This good-for-nothing ninth miss seemed to have gained the favor of the master. Otherwise, why would even the commander of the guards, Ling Shi, listen to her commands? Only a fool would provoke her. Yun Shujio said to Qing Mama behind her, "Mama, pick up that broken finger of Du Mama." Qing Mama was already scared silly. Almost subconsciously, she picked up that broken finger of Du Mama. Coincidentally, Du Mama woke up at this time. Qing Mama saw the resentful look in Du Mama's eyes and was so scared that she almost threw the broken finger in her hand on the ground. Yun Shujio kicked Du Mama with the tip of her foot and said indifferently, "I heard that as long as you take the corresponding medicinal pill, the broken finger can be reattached. Now, you can spend money to buy your broken finger back." Ling Shi, how could she play like this? What was the difference between this and robbing money? "Miss Zhou, this is the Tian residence, not a Shanzhai. You are the ninth miss of the Tian family, not the king of the Bandit Mountain." Du Mama was almost driven mad with anger, but she was afraid of Ling Shi, who was beside Yun Shujio, and even more afraid of Tian Shefeng. She could only gnash her teeth and ask, "How much is it? How much is your finger worth? Why are you asking me? Are you an idiot? Hey Shinjo asked casually. Du Mama almost fainted from anger again. She gritted her teeth and said, 1,000 demon crystals. I don't know if the pheasant likes to eat fingers. I'd better keep this finger to feed it. The pheasant likes to play with me the most. It might fly over soon. 3,000 magic crystals. I heard that if this broken finger is delayed for a long time, it won't be so flexible even if it is attached. 10,000. I'll give you 10,000, okay? This is all I have. Yun Shujo saw that Du Mama was about to bite the back of her teeth and knew that this was her limit, so she said with a smile, money in one hand and goods in the other, no credit. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know your report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 6127 Who would believe you? Du Mama spent 10,000 magic crystals to buy her finger back. She was so angry that she was trembling. When she turned around and was about to leave, Yun Shujo snorted coldly. You're leaving just like that? Shouldn't you bow before you take your leave? Du Mama could only gnash her teeth and bow. Miss Jo, this old servant will take his leave. Yun Shujo casually waved her hand. I'll allow it. Du Mama had only taken a few steps when Yun Shujo said indifferently, Du Mama, if I didn't guess wrongly, it was Sister Ru Lu who complained to grandmother, right? TSK, I told Chun Xiao clearly that grandfather summoned me. Who knew that Sister Ru Lu actually didn't tell grandmother? Therefore, there is a debt to be repaid. If you are angry, you should go and vent your anger on Sister Ru Lu. Du Mama didn't say anything and left with the group of people in a hurry. Yun Shujo didn't really expect to succeed in sowing discord. However, both Old Lady Tian and Du Mama had a thorn in their hearts. It would work sooner or later. Leng Shi, who had watched the big show, said expressionlessly, Miss Jo, your subordinate will take his leave. Leng Shi, it's all thanks to you this time. If it weren't for you, I would definitely have been whipped to death by Du Mama, and I wouldn't have been able to complete the big deal just now. I can't use you for nothing, or else your heart would be cold. Here, this is your reward. Leng Shi looked at the pitiful magic crystal in front of him. Your subordinate doesn't dare to accept it. The family head still has something to tell me. Your subordinate will take his leave. Wait a moment. Help me pass a message to grandfather. The truth may not be easily found out. There are some things that need to be dug out. Leng Shi was stunned. He bowed and disappeared in a flash. Yun Shujo held the magic crystal in her hand and muttered to herself, sigh, why is there such a big difference between people? Leng Shi only does good deeds for free. Some people even steal master's money. How shameless. Qing Mama, it's not so easy to take advantage of me. Whoever takes advantage of me will sooner or later lose their hands, feet, and mouth. Ninth Miss, these are the magic crystals exchanged this morning and the spirit stones you gave me earlier, said Qing Mama with a sad face. Only these? Why do I feel that there are still some magic crystals missing? I bought those snacks for you. Aren't those snacks given to me by you? If I spend my own money, do I need you to buy them for me if I don't have hands? Qing Mama was about to cry when she met such an unreasonable person. But when she thought of Du Mama's miserable state, she could only take out 10 magic crystals to pay for the snacks. Yun Shujo nodded in satisfaction. Mama, as expected, you love me the most. No one else has ever bought me snacks. Don't worry, I will repay you properly in the future. Qing Mama, it would be a lie to believe you. However, she had already offended Du Mama. She was a grasshopper on the same rope as Miss Jo in front of her. She seemed to have no other choice but to be obedient. On the other side, Du Mama, who had a swollen pig face, came to see Old Lady Tian with a severed finger that she had bought with 10,000 magic crystals. Old lady, you have to make a decision for me. Du Mama cried with snot running down her nose. Old Lady Tian could not believe her eyes. She asked in surprise, how did you end up like this? She did not suspect that Hei Xinjiu was the one who beat her up. After all, she was a good-for-nothing, and she did not have the ability or the courage to do so. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know your report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 6128, The Mastermind with a Sad Face. Dumama recounted what had happened. Old lady, Ninth mistreated me like this. She doesn't take you seriously at all. Old lady Tian slammed the table angrily. I'm so angry. This evil creature is really going against the heavens. She even dared to hit you. A trace of viciousness flashed in Dumama's eyes. A servant girl still wanted to fight with her. Even if the head of the family looked at her in a different light, the old lady would still be in charge of the inner residence. Dumama originally thought that old lady Tian would send people to capture Yunchujo, but she did not expect old lady Tian to take a deep breath and say, however, since Leng Shi is involved in this matter, perhaps the master has other arrangements. Let her play around for a few days for the time being. I will deal with her after I ask the master. Go down and fix your finger. I will make the decision for you. Although Dumama was unwilling, she did not dare to say anything. Anyway, there was still a long way to go. She did not believe that a little piece of trash could still turn the world upside down. At the same time, in Tian Shifeng's study, Leng Shi described the incident with an expressionless face. Cough, cough. Cough, cough. Tian Shifeng, who was drinking tea, almost choked to death. How come he never knew that he had such a granddaughter? Tian Shifeng thought for a long time but could not come up with a suitable adjective. He had blackmailed Dumama and blackmailed Leng Shi. He was quite bold. Tian Shifeng rarely paid attention to the juniors in the mansion. At most, he would test their cultivation. His impression of this ninth granddaughter was only 2 words, trash. In addition, old lady Tian kept whispering in his ear about the jinx and so on. He did not have a good impression of the original Tian Ruhua. It was as if there was an idle person in the manor. When he got older, he could just find a family to marry. He did not expect that this Ruhua girl had opened his eyes. Although it was just some unpresentable tricks, it also showed that this girl was a little clever. Leng Shi thought of the last words that Yunchujo said and quickly related to Tian Shifeng. Tian Shifeng frowned. According to what she said, thoroughly investigate the rumor. Investigate it carefully. Yes. The next evening, Leng Shi told Tian Shifeng the results of the investigation. Master, we first followed the clues and found out that the rumor was spread by the first prince. Later, after digging deeper, we found out that the instigator was not the first prince. The first prince was just framed and used. The actual rumor manipulator was the second prince, and Miss Ru Lu was also involved in it. Tian Shifeng was stunned at first, thinking that this was impossible. However, when he saw the conclusive evidence on the table, he flew into a rage. Outrageous. Truly outrageous. Tian Shifeng was about to explode from anger. He originally thought that it was done by the enemy, but who would have thought that it was done by his own family? Originally, he saw that Ru Lu was still a smart girl. In addition, her aptitude was not bad, so old lady Tian had always been biased towards her, so he did not have any objections. However, she had actually put the Tian family in a disadvantageous position for the sake of personal resentment. She was really stupid and bad. There was also that second prince. He could now give up the benefits of the Tian family to vent his anger. In the future, if he really became the Devil Emperor, he would not care about the Tian family. He was just an ingrate. The more Tian Shifeng thought about it, the angrier he got. Initially, he had some hesitation towards Yunchujia's suggestion. Now, there was no hesitation at all. It seemed that no one was reliable. It was better to control the power in his own hands. Thus, Tian Shifeng gave a few orders to Leng Shi, and Leng Shi accepted the order and left. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know your report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 6130, Grandmother, There's No Such Thing. Ninth sister must have framed me. You have to believe me. I'm just asking casually. Of course I believe you. Oh right, I heard from your grandfather that the selection for the Supreme Demonic Code will start in a few days. You should cultivate well recently and not be distracted by these things. As long as you can obtain the recognition of the Supreme Demonic Canon in the end, it will be much more useful than Kyle 1. Even if you can only cultivate the other 8 volumes, it will be enough to make your name known throughout the world. When Tian Rulu heard old lady Tian's words, her eyes immediately flashed with wild joy. Grandmother, is what you said true? Did grandfather really say that? How can I spout nonsense on such a big matter? I can't help you with this matter, it's all up to you. Quickly go back and cultivate well, and strive to pass the first round of the selection. Tian Rulu immediately agreed and left happily. Grandmother was right, the Supreme Demonic Code was much stronger than Kyle Wan's false reputation. She originally thought that grandfather wouldn't start the selection for a while, but she didn't expect it to start so soon. Tian Rulu had just left old lady Tian's courtyard when she received a message from the second prince asking her to meet him. The demon race did not place great importance on men and women. Even unmarried men and women could meet each other alone. Thus, when Tian Rulu received the message, she went to the place where the second prince had agreed to meet her. Rulu, what's going on with the rumors these 2 days? If my guess is correct, these rumors were released on your grandfather's orders. He actually values that Tian Ruhua more than you? The second prince's expression did not look too good. He had spent a lot of effort to plan this matter, but in the end, he had given someone else the opportunity to marry him. One could imagine how angry he was. He was glad that he had arranged something. Even if Tian Shefeng sent people to investigate, they could only find out that the mastermind was the first prince's people. It had nothing to do with him. Your Highness, I don't know what grandfather is thinking either. Perhaps he just doesn't want the Tian family to lose face. Don't worry, our Tian family is about to begin the selection of the Supreme Demon Scripture. Among the same generation, even if there are a few cousins, their aptitude can't compare to mine. I will definitely be able to obtain the qualifications to cultivate the outer 8 chapters. Perhaps if I'm lucky, I might be able to cultivate the inner 8 chapters, Tian Rulu said confidently. The second prince's eyes immediately lit up. The reason why he chose Tian Rulu as the candidate for the crown prince's consort was not only because he wanted the support of the Tian family, but also because of the Supreme Demon Scripture. The Supreme Demonic Code was a secret of the Heavenly Demon Clan, but he was confident that as long as Tian Rulu learned it, he would definitely have a way to trick her into teaching it to him. He immediately put on an affectionate expression. Rulu, I have always been very confident in you. You will definitely be able to pass the selection of the Supreme Demonic Code. I will send someone to send you more cultivation resources. Cultivate well and do your best to prepare for the selection of the Supreme Demonic Code. Tian Rulu nodded shyly. Yes, I will definitely pass the selection. At the same time, the Tian family also released the news about the selection of the Supreme Demonic Codex. All members of the Tian family, regardless of whether they were from the direct branch or the side branch, as long as they had not participated in the selection, they could participate. The entire Tian family was boiling. For the members of the Tian family, this matter was more important than anything else. All of them were training hard, waiting for the selection to arrive. Hei Xinjiu did not have any thoughts about this. She was an impostor and did not have any demonic chi. Even if she were to participate in the election, she would just be a bystander. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know your report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 6132, The first person to cultivate both spirit and devil in history? Didn't you say that many people have succeeded before? Sha Mo was annoyed. Why did he accidentally say that he was bald? Whatever he said before about cultivating both spirit and devil was just something he casually said. There was a big difference between cultivating devil chi and cultivating spirit chi. No one had ever cultivated both spirit and devil chi. The reason why he said that was to trick Yunchujo into participating in the selection of the Supreme Demonic Book. The selection of the Supreme Demonic Book of the Heavenly Demon Clan was very mysterious. They would never let outsiders be present. He had long wanted to see what the process was. Moreover, he still had a trace of luck. If the stinky girl was lucky enough to be selected, he could also secretly learn a thing or two. Who would have thought that Yunchuji's words would provoke him into saying that he was bald? He was so annoyed that he wished he could slap himself twice. Seeing that Sha Mo did not say anything, Yunchujo guessed a little. She snorted coldly and said, "You've grown so capable that you even dare to lie to me." Sha Mo quickly added, "I'm doing this for your own good. Although there's no precedent in the past, you can even dissolve corpse chi. Who knows, you might really succeed. Are you really that kind-hearted? Could it be that you want to secretly learn the Supreme Demonic Code?" Sha Mo's face immediately turned red. "I just want to broaden my horizons." "Forget it, you can go or not." Yunchujo did not bother with Sha Mo anymore. In fact, even if he did not say anything, she would still join in the fun. Although the chances of being chosen were slim, it was still good to gather some useful information. On this day, the selection of the Supreme Demonic Codex began. Almost all the influential people of the Heavenly Demon Clan had gathered at the Tian Family Ancestral Hall. The Tian Family Ancestral Hall was set up in the Tian residence and occupied a large area. Even if hundreds of people gathered together, it would not seem crowded. A moment later, Tian Shefeng walked in with 3 old men with white hair and white beards. These 3 old men were the grand elders of the Tian family and rarely appeared in front of people. They would only appear on important days like ancestor worship or the selection of the Supreme Demonic Codex. As the head of the Tian family, Tian Shefeng naturally had to preside over the selection of the Supreme Demonic Codex. He had said a lot of things in hopes that everyone would perform well and gain the favor of the Supreme Demonic Codex. "Those who are participating in the selection, stand here." Immediately, a group of Tian family juniors stood in the designated area with excited expressions. Hei Shinjo also stood there eagerly. Tian Rulu pouted. A trash who could not cultivate demonic chi actually had the face to participate in the selection? He really overestimated himself. The others had the same thoughts as Tian Rulu. They felt that Yunchujo did not have any self-awareness at all. Could it be that the Supreme Demonic Codex would choose a trash like her? Old Madame Tian now disliked Yunchujo 120 times. However, there was no place for her to speak on this occasion. She could only glare fiercely at Yunchujo. Tian Shefeng did not expect Yunchujo to be selected. However, as long as it was a descendant of the Tian family, they could participate in the selection. He did not say anything. There were a total of 53 descendants of the Tian family who participated in the first round of selection. Among them, 15 were from the Tian family's direct branch while the remaining 38 were from the side branch. The first round of selection was very simple. Those who participated in the selection would enter the ancestral hall and kneel down. If they could make the Supreme Demonic Code appear illusory, they would be considered to have passed the first round of selection. The clearer the phantom of the Supreme Demonic Book was, the better the talent, and the higher the chance of getting the favor of the Supreme Demonic Book. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know your report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 6133, Blood Drop. After Tian Shefeng announced the rules, he and the 3 supreme elders chanted an obscure secret language. A black statue that looked like a book appeared in front of the memorial tablet in the ancestral hall. The statue was completely black. There were only 4 ancient characters on it, the Supreme Demonic Book. Although the statue looked simple and unadorned, it made people feel an urge to worship it from the bottom of their hearts. Of course, Hei Shinjo was not one of them. At this moment, this fellow was pondering in his heart. He did not know what material the statue was carved from, but it seemed to be very valuable. Tian Shefeng motioned for Tian Rusong, who was in the front row, to come forward and participate in the selection. Tian Rusong was a branch of the Tian family, and because he was the oldest, he was in the front row. He should have participated in the last selection, but because of his injury, he missed the last selection, so he could be said to be full of confidence in this selection. He immediately walked into the ancestral hall. Hei Shinjo stretched her neck and looked curiously. The Sha Mo in her spirit beast bag was also looking at her through her spiritual sense. After Tian Rusong entered the ancestral hall, he knelt in front of the statue and kowtowed 3 times reverently. Then, he bit the index finger of his right hand and dripped blood on the statue. However, the statue didn't have any reaction. When the time was up, Tian Rusong could only bow his head and retreat. His blood couldn't make the phantom of the Supreme Demonic Code appear, which meant that he hadn't been chosen. Then, a few people entered the ancestral hall to participate in the election. All of them returned in defeat. At this time, it was the turn of Tian Ruan from the side branch to participate in the election. There was a hint of arrogance on his face. Although he was from the side branch, he had always been valued in the Tian family because of his outstanding talent. He knelt down and kowtowed 3 times before dripping his blood on the statue. Tian Shefeng and the others had high expectations of Tian Ruan, so they all focused their attention on the statue. However, no one had expected that a black demonic chi would shoot out from the statue and send Tian Ruan flying. Tian Ruan fell to the ground in a sorry state and spat out a mouthful of blood with a pale face. His mind was blank. What was going on? Why did the Supreme Demonic Code attack him? The members of the Tian family were also at a loss. Such a thing had never happened before. Could it be that something had gone wrong with the Supreme Demonic Code? At this moment, the first elder smashed the coffee table beside him into pieces. Tian Kelu, how dare you? Your 4 branches actually dared to send a wild child to participate in the election. Hurry up and get over here. Tian Kelu, who was from the Tian family's 4 branches, looked terrified and confused. Great Elder, what? What do you mean by that? What do you mean? Do you know why the Supreme Demonic Code attacked him? Because he is not of the Tian family's bloodline. The Supreme Demonic Codice are Tian family's secret. How dare you let a bastard take part in the election? What are your intentions? The Great Elder was furious. A bastard had always been heavily groomed. If this were to spread, the Tian family would definitely become the laughingstock of everyone. Tian Keela's face was filled with disbelief. Tian Ruan was his grandson. How did he become a bastard? Impossible. Impossible. I am clearly a descendant of the Tian family. How could I be a bastard? There must be a mistake in the Supreme Demonic Codex. Tian Ruan's face was red and his neck was thick as he roared angrily. The Great Elder ignored Tian Ruan and snorted at Tian Kelu. Tian Kelu, if you can't even interrogate such a small matter, the leader of the 4th branch should be changed. Tian Kelu immediately agreed in fear and trepidation and began to interrogate Tian Ruan's parents on the spot. While the interrogation was in full swing, Hei Xinjia's heart was cold. This Supreme Demonic Codex still had the function of blood identification. It was over, her fake identity was about to be exposed. Chapter 6134, What about? Hei Xinjia's little heart was pounding non-stop. Was it too late for her to withdraw now? This fellow was silently moving backwards, trying to leave the candidate area without anyone noticing. Who would have thought that after taking a few steps back, his body would bump into a transparent barrier? This fellow was immediately dumbfounded. No wonder all the candidates were standing here. It turned out that once they signed up, they could forget about withdrawing halfway. Hei Shinjo immediately used her spiritual sense to scold Sha Mo. it's all your fault, you old fool. I said I wouldn't join, but you insisted on letting me join. What should we do now? Sha Mo was aggrieved. It was true that he had instigated her, but didn't she also want to take advantage of him? How could she blame him? At this time, Tian Qi's interrogation had come to an end. It was not complicated. Back then, when Tian Ruin's mother, Jiang Shi, went back to her mother's house, she had slept with her old lover for a night. When she was pregnant, the Jiang family was not sure who the child belonged to. They thought that they were lucky and gave birth to the child. Tian Ruin looked like the Jiang family. Not to mention others, even the Jiang family thought that the child was the Tian family's child. They had long forgotten about this early romantic affair. Moreover, she did not know that the Supreme Demonic Code actually had the ability to recognize relatives by blood. Otherwise, even if they tried their best, they would stop Tian Ruin from participating in the selection. Tian Yuan, who was also the husband of the Jiang family, was so angry that his eyes were red. He immediately drew his sword and was about to kill the Jiang family. Although everyone despised the Jiang family's behavior, they could not let Tian Yuan kill her just like that. They quickly tried to dissuade him. Tian Ruin was as stunned as a wooden sculpture. His previous arrogance had become a joke at this moment. Tian Qi's old face was also a little embarrassed. He immediately ordered people to escort Tian Ruin and the Jiang family back to the fourth room. They would deal with them after the first round of selection. Tian Shefeng announced that the selection would continue. Tian Ruliang, who was standing behind Tian Ruin, took a deep breath and walked into the ancestral hall. Tian Ruliang was a direct descendant of the Tian family and his performance had always been good. Therefore, the anticipation in the eyes of the first elder and the others became a little stronger. After Tian Ruliang walked into the ancestral hall, he knelt on the ground and kowtowed 3 times before dripping blood on the statue. The shadow of a black book slowly appeared on the statue. Although it was relatively faint, it was enough for Tian Ruliang to be excited. No matter what, at least he had passed the first round of selection. Next, everyone entered the ancestral hall to participate in the selection. The younger they were, the greater the possibility of passing. Next, there were 16 people who passed the selection. At this time, it was Tian Rula's turn. Although Tian Rulu was very confident that she would pass the first round of selection, she was still a little nervous. It was only when she saw that the illusory figure that appeared was much clearer than the others that she heaved a sigh of relief. The surrounding members of the Tian family discussed animatedly. They were all praising Tian Rula's extraordinary talent. She might even be able to successfully obtain the recognition of the Supreme Demonic Canon and obtain the qualifications to practice the outer 8 chapters, or even the inner 8 chapters. Tian Rulu suppressed the joy in her heart and walked out of the ancestral hall in a neither servile nor overbearing manner. She stood in the line that was qualified to pass the test. Compared to the joy on old lady Tian's face, Tian Shifeng's expression did not change much. Even though she had good talent, she was stupid and bad-tempered. She was too embarrassing to be of great use. He Xinjiu saw that there were fewer and fewer people. She was burning with anxiety. Although she could be a demon in the Tian family previously, there was a prerequisite that she was a member of the Tian family. If she lost her identity, her life would definitely be over. What should she do? Chapter 6135 was doomed. Although Yunchujo wished that time could be slower, it was still her turn. The guy took small steps and slowly walked into the ancestral hall. The great elder snorted. Stop dawdling and go in now. He Xinjiu looked at the great elder pitifully. Great elder, I also wanted to participate in the selection on impulse, but I regretted it after I calmed down. I don't have any demonic chi. The Supreme Demonic Codex won't choose me at all. I don't think I should waste any more time. I'll give up voluntarily. The great elder's tone became more and more impatient. How can the selection be a child's play? Since you've already signed up to participate, you must drip your blood. Don't waste any more time. Go in now. Hei Shinjo entered the ancestral hall with tears flowing down her cheeks. After kneeling down, he didn't kowtow immediately. Instead, he mumbled in a low voice, "Demonic Codex, I don't think you know me. I'm Tian Ruhua, and my background is too miserable. It all started when my father and my mother met. The people outside were so angry that their noses were almost crooked. Is this Tian Ruhua sick? If she didn't drip her blood, what was she talking about? Could it be that the supreme demonic codex would turn into an illusion just because she was pitiful? However, she had already entered the ancestral hall. Even the great elder didn't dare to interrupt the selection process. They could only grit their teeth and listen to Hei Xinjia's chattering. Hei Shinjo was also suffering. The reason why she was dawdling here was that she wanted to use this period of time to think of a way to resolve the crisis. However, she had a headache and couldn't think of a good idea. If she didn't want to be exposed, she had to have the blood of the Tian family. Where could she get it? The guy cursed in his heart. This damned supreme demonic code was just a dog trying to meddle in other people's business. If you want to choose a person, just choose a person. Why do you have to do the blood identification? An hour passed, but Hei Shinjo was still mumbling, "Demonic code, let me tell you. 2 days ago, a big pheasant flew into my yard. It was so fat. It's a pity that it's just a phantom. Otherwise, we could have captured it and roasted it." At this moment, someone exclaimed, "Kyle Wan. Kyle Wan." The Tian family looked up and saw a Kyle Wan flying toward them at an astonishing speed. When they got closer, they realized that this Kyle Wan was just an illusion. Moreover, it seemed to be the same one that had appeared in Yunshuji's yard. Why did this Kyle Wan suddenly appear? Hei Shinjo heard the commotion outside, so she stopped and turned her head to look. Before she could see clearly, the Kyle Wan turned into a black flame and flew into the ancestral hall, rushing straight towards Hei Shinjo. Hei Shinjo was startled. She hid behind the statue of the Supreme Devil Code, with a whoosh, narrowly avoiding the black flame. She did avoid it, but the ancestral tablets of the Tian family didn't. The black flame burned the ancestral tablets of the Tian family at the front into ashes. Hei Shinjo was dumbfounded. There were only 3 big words in her mind: it was over. The crowd outside was dead silent at first, and then they exploded. Hei Shinjo immediately became the target of public criticism. Among them, old Mrs. Tian's curses were the sharpest. "You're a jinx, you're a jinx. As long as you're here, nothing good will come of you. You clearly don't have demonic chi, so why did you come to participate in the selection? Are you trying to make things difficult for Rulu again? I should have killed you a few days ago, you evil creature, so that I wouldn't be in trouble today." Chapter 6136. Great Luck. Tian Ruhua lowered her head and hid the gloating expression on her face. This Tian Ruhua was really courting death. Although the spirit tablet was burned by Kyle Wan, it was still related to her. Even if she wasn't beaten to death, she would still be sent to mine magic crystals. When that time came, she would suffer a fate worse than death. Tian Shefeng frowned. He originally thought that this Ruhua girl still had some tricks up her sleeve, but now it seemed that they were just some superficial tricks. If she had dripped her blood step by step, she might not have been chosen, but she would not have caused such a disaster. The 3 grand elders' faces were ashen. It was not a big deal for the Tian family to keep a good-for-nothing, but she had caused the destruction of the ancestral spirit tablet. This was an unpardonable crime. Just as the grand elders were about to ask someone to take Yunshujo away, they heard Yunshujo say happily, 3 grand elders, grandfather, and clansmen, this is a good omen. Our Tian family will be more prosperous from now on. This is really something to celebrate. Everyone was so angry that their noses almost went crooked. Was this Tian Ruhua crazy? What nonsense was she talking about? Old Lady Tian said sarcastically, "Congratulations. You burned your ancestors' ranking and you even made contributions? What nonsense." Yunshujo ignored her and said to the 3 supreme elders, Everyone knows that Kailwan is auspicious, and our Tian family has been visited by Kailwan twice. This is enough to prove that our Tian family is a blessed land. As for the spirit tablet being burned, it is even better. Being chosen by Kailwan means that those ancestors are outstanding and extraordinary. It is the glory of our Tian family. Furthermore, the fire is burning with good luck. This means that our Tian family will prosper day by day and be even better than before. This is truly an auspicious sign. Everyone was dumbfounded. What did he mean by lying through his teeth? This was it. What blessed land! What glory! What auspicious sign! It was clearly a fire. Old Lady Tian sneered, "Nonsense. There is no auspicious sign, shut up. If you continue to be noisy, get out." The great elder shouted sternly. Old Lady Tian was so frightened that she trembled and immediately did not dare to make a sound like an old quail. The great elder narrowed his eyes and glanced at Yun Chuzhou, who was in the ancestral hall. The little girl is right. It's our honor to be chosen by Kailwan. This is a good omen. The great elder had just weighed the pros and cons in an instant. The life and death of a good-for-nothing did not matter. However, if it was spread out, it would be detrimental to the Tian family's reputation. It was better to take advantage of the situation and admit that this was a good omen. As for this culprit, he would find an excuse to deal with her after the selection. Tian Shefeng immediately echoed, "The great elder is right. The fact that Kailwan was able to visit us on the day of the selection is enough to show that the devil god has taken care of our Tian family. This is a joyous occasion." Everyone immediately reacted and changed their tone. They all agreed with him. Their posture was as if they wished that the spirit tablets in the ancestral hall would be burned by Kailwan. Tian Rulu was both angry and resentful. She didn't expect such a big disaster to be resolved by that trash in just a few words. Were the great elder and the others stupid? Hei Xinjiu heaved a sigh of relief. Although she knew that this matter was not over yet and that she would have to settle the score later, she had escaped the disaster temporarily. Just as she was thinking, the great elder shouted coldly, "What are you waiting for? Hurry up and drip your blood. There are still people waiting behind." Yun Chuzhou. Chapter 6137. The statue's crack. Yun Chuzhou gritted her teeth. It seemed that she could not avoid it, so she could only bite the bullet and drip blood. She thought to herself, if she really could not, she could use her identity as a mixed demon to talk. Anyway, according to Qing Mama, she was the only mixed demon in the Tian family so far, so she could do whatever she wanted. If she still could not escape, she could only hide in the great void mystic realm to save her life. Hence, this fellow kneeled in front of the statue and kowtowed 3 times. He bit his right index finger and dripped blood on the statue. There was no reaction at all. However, there were no other abnormalities. Hei Xinjiu heaved a sigh of relief. It seemed that the supreme demonic code was not very sensitive. Otherwise, she would not have been unable to recognize this impostor. At this moment, a sudden change occurred. Ka. A crack actually appeared at the spot where Yun Chuzhiu's blood was dripping, and it quickly spread to the entire statue. Hei Xinjiu, damn God, he was afraid that she would not die. The people of the Tian family hated her for burning those spirit tokens. Now that the statue had cracked, did she still have a way to live? The great elder and the others were also dumbfounded. This statue had existed in the Tian family for tens of thousands of years. How could it suddenly crack? Everyone wanted to go forward to check, but the selection was not over yet. No one could disturb them. They could only watch the statue's changes with worry. The great elder was so regretful that her intestines turned green. If she had known this would happen, she would not have let that trash bleed. It must be because the supreme demonic canon felt that she had been tainted by the trash's blood. This trash had caused so much trouble in just a short while. He could not be left alive. He had to kill her. A hint of killing intent flashed in the Great Elder's eyes. He decided to execute Yun Chuzhou secretly after the selection. At this moment, the cracks stopped spreading. The illusory image of the Supreme Demonic Codex appeared above the statue. The illusory image was very clear. It was several times clearer than the illusory image that Tian Rulu had summoned. If not for the halo around it, people would even mistake it for the real Supreme Demonic Codex. Hey Shinjo, everyone. Hey Shinjo held back the urge to laugh 3 times. She didn't expect that she would pass the first round of selection. It seemed that the Supreme Demonic Codex didn't have good eyesight. Otherwise, how could she not recognize an imposter like her? The imposter stood up, swaggered out of the ancestral hall, and stood in the line that had passed the selection. The 3 Grand Elders looked at each other. For a moment, they did not know whether they should pursue the matter of the cracks in the statue or be pleasantly surprised that the Tian family had produced a talented junior. However, wasn't Tian Ruhua unable to cultivate demonic qi? How could it be that she was extremely talented? Could it be that there was a mistake in the Supreme Demonic Canon? The other members of the Tian family had the same thoughts, especially Tian Rulu, who bit her lips tightly. Her eyes were filled with jealousy and hatred. Impossible. How could a good-for-nothing like Tian Ruhua make the Supreme Demonic Codex appear illusory and clearer than the one she summoned? There were still a few people behind Yun Chuzhou who did not drip blood. The Great Elder signaled for the selection to continue. Although cracks appeared on the statue of the Supreme Demonic Codex, it did not seem to affect anything. The selection of the next few people went smoothly and nothing unusual happened. In the end, a total of 19 people passed the first round of selection. Hei Shinjo was among them. The Great Elder and the others had already reached a consensus. If this trash was finally qualified to cultivate the outer 8 volumes, then the past would be forgiven. If she was not qualified to cultivate the outer 8 volumes, then she would be punished for several crimes and be dealt with quietly. Chapter 6138. Go to the corner. Although Yun Chuzhou did not know their decision, she could guess a thing or two. It seemed that it was not possible to be a bystander. She had to think of a way to get the qualification to cultivate the other 8 chapters. The method of the second round of selection was different from the first round. All the people who passed the first round of selection followed Tian Shefeng and the 3 Supreme Elders to the underground cultivation room of the Tian family. Tian Shefeng glanced at everyone and said, "From today onwards, all of you will follow the 3 Grand Elders to learn the rudiments of the Supreme Demonic Canon. The second round of selection will be held in a month's time. The phantom that successfully used the demonic qi to make half a page's content appear on the statue of the Supreme Demonic Canon will be qualified to cultivate the outer 8 volumes. The phantom that appears on the entire page will be qualified to cultivate the inner 8 volumes." After Tian Shefeng finished speaking, he bowed to the 3 Supreme Elders and took his leave. After he left, the first elder said to the other 2 elders, "As usual, we will train in groups and take turns to pick people." The other 2 elders nodded and agreed. The 3 of them began to pick the juniors that they liked. The first elder pointed at Tian Rulu. "Come here." Tian Rulu was delighted. The first elder had chosen her first, which meant that he had high hopes for her. How could he not be happy? The second elder pointed at Tian Ruliang and said, "Come to my side." The third elder nodded deeply to Tian Ruliang, indicating for him to come to his side. The selection process was very fast. In a short while, 6 people stood behind each elder. Only the pitiful Hei Shinjo was left in the original venue. No one had chosen her. Obviously, none of the 3 Grand Elders wanted this useless and troublesome Tian Ruhua. After a moment of dead silence, the second elder said with a smile, "Big brother, you were the first one to choose, so this Tian Ruhua belongs to you." The third elder echoed, "Yes, big brother. Even if it's in order, it's your turn to choose after I'm done. This Tian Ruhua should be taught by you." The first elder had a gloomy face, so he had no choice but to take Hei Shinjo to his side. Tian Rula's eyes flashed with a hint of schadenfreude. The Great Elder obviously did not like Tian Ruhua. When the time came, she could use a little trick to make the Great Elder loathe her even more. He might even directly dispose of this trash. The underground cultivation room was quite large. The 3 Grand Elders each occupied an area and began to teach. These juniors of the Tian family all had cultivation bases, so it was not too difficult for them to learn the rudiments of the sup. What was difficult was how to increase the intensity of the demonic chi attack in a short period of time. After everyone had learned the rudiments of the demonic chi, they repeatedly waved their palms at the mannequin in front of them. It was said that only one palm could pierce through the mannequin before it could reveal half a page of the supreme demonic code. Compared to the ease of the 2nd Elder and the 3rd Elder, the 1st Elder was so angry that he was about to explode. There was no other reason. Who asked his team to have a useless person who was a burden? Yun Shuzhou did not have a single bit of demonic chi cultivation. She could not even learn the rudiments of the supreme demonic scripture, let alone pierce through the mannequin. At the beginning, the Great Elder even patiently taught her a few things. However, this person could not even feel the demonic elements in the air. The Great Elder was so angry that he wished he could cut open this person's head to see if it was filled with straw. In the end, the Great Elder simply ignored her and said with disgust, "Go to the corner and practice by yourself. Don't be an eyesore here." Hei Xingjiu pursed her lips and shrank into the corner pitifully. Chapter 6139, Offering Resources _1 In the Dan God's secret realm, Lin Yi didn't immediately have Pill Immortal Master commence the teleportation. Instead, he stayed a bit longer in the secret realm and controlled the timing to be within a seemingly reasonable range, so it wouldn't be too outrageous. Soon enough, Zhang Dao Xian leveraged the secret realm array method to teleport them to a wilderness still some distance away from the Tsanghua sect. Upon arriving, Lin Yi used his powerful divine sense and his Eye of Emptiness to scan and observe his surroundings. The Eye of Emptiness had the remarkable ability to pierce through even the spatial channels formed during ascent. Therefore, no matter how powerful they were, as long as they were hidden nearby, he could discover their traces using the Eye of Emptiness. At the same time, before he morphed into the undefeated form and initiated the rescue mission, he had already activated his Predict Crisis title. Everything was calm, and there was no danger whatsoever. With the powerful abilities of 3 nascent soul cultivators and the effects of his title, even if someone from the upper realm descended, he wouldn't be at a disadvantage. A few grim old women carefully hoisted the sedan slowly heading towards Tsanghua sect. There were cultivators along the way who noticed the sedan. Upon detecting the powerful aura of nascent soul level, they only dared to glance from a distance, not daring to get close with their divine sense. After a while, the sedan arrived at the entrance of the Tsanghua sect. Lin Yi sensed peace and tranquility within the sect, but its array had been activated, unleashing all its might. All the golden core real persons had gathered on top of a mountain within the gate. It seemed that the Tsanghua sect had just received the message. Even in the cultivation world, the propagation of news required time. Although he had stayed for a while in Lu Yun's sect after dealing with Lord Xian Ming, teleportation through the secret realm enabled him to reach Tsanghua sect in an extremely short span of time. At this point, even the fastest news transmission method would have just reached here. Of course, there was one news delivery method faster than nascent soul true lord speed, that is, divine soul sensing. If a soul mark was left within a sect and a soul lamp was ignited, once the person died, the soul lamp in the sect would quickly extinguish, without much delay. True monarch of Danyang's death should have already been known to the golden core real persons of Medicine God Valley through the soul lamps within the sect. This news couldn't be concealed, so Medicine God Valley must be filled with grief now. However, at this time, whether they were from the path of good or evil, everyone was on edge, and it was essentially impossible for anyone to lay hands on the Medicine God Valley. Furthermore, Lord Lin Shao of Sky Sword Sect fought shoulder to shoulder with true monarch of Danyang of Medicine God Valley and ultimately fell due to a surprise attack. Lord Lin Shao was even forced to retreat by a mysterious figure. With his fury having no place to vent, if anyone dared to mess with Medicine God Valley at this time, they'd be lighting a fuse to the powder keg. In front of the entrance to the Tsanghua sect, Lin Yi halted the sedan and said lightly, "We're here. It seems that Elder Star Plucker hasn't returned yet, let's wait here for a moment." The life force in Elder Star Plucker was slowly fading away. With his cultivation at the mid-level of nascent soul, it was impossible for him to completely suppress his decaying spiritual power. Therefore, with his life force gradually failing, it was utterly impossible for him to use his full strength to control the sword. Many disciples of Tsanghua sect were unaware that their nascent soul ancestor was injured. They curiously looked at the red sedan floating in the sky. However, on top of the main peak, Tsanghua Peak, several golden core real persons who had gathered there lost their composure upon seeing the red sedan. According to the information transmitted back by Elder Star Plucker, this mysterious red-clothed sect master was extremely terrifying. With a casual move, he had severely injured two nascent soul true lords. Their elder was also heavily injured and was rushing back with all his might, not knowing whether he could survive. They never expected this red-clothed sect master to arrive so quickly, far surpassing the speed of ordinary nascent soul great perfection. Now standing before the gate of their mountain, they had no way to escape even if they wanted to. Lin Yi, with the strong divine sense of three nascent souls, penetrated the sect's protective array to hear some of their conversations. One of the golden core real persons sneered, I disagreed with the ancestors' decision to meddle in the matter between Luyun's sect and the heretic sections. Some of you insisted there were no risks, and the Luyun sect was already a fish on the chopping block. Even if Lord Lin Xiao had come, it would not have made a difference. But now, look, our ancestor is severely injured and might not even survive the journey back. And this terrifying red-clothed sect master has arrived so quickly at Tsanghua sect, blocking our mountain gate. We can only wait here for our death. What nonsense are you spouting? Our ancestors' actions were just taken with us being notified and not consulted. We had no rights to make the final decision. If we jointly opposed the ancestors' scheme, he certainly would have considered carefully, but you people, for personal benefits, were just recklessly enough, stop arguing. What's the use of discussing this now? We should wait for our ancestors' return. If the ancestor falls, we would need to fend for ourselves. Right at that moment, Lin Yi saw several sound transmission talismans flying over. He chuckled and did not halt them. Probably, it was the most recent news being transmitted. As expected, these sound transmission talismans basically went towards Tsanghua Peak. Those golden core real persons looked ashen after perusing the sound transmission talismans. These sound transmission talismans described the situation after Elder Star Plucker left. The red-clothed sect master hovering in the sky above their sect had killed Xian Yin sect's Lord Xian Ming. All other nascent soul true lords who were present had fled at once. Chapter 61 Spiritual and Demonic Cultivation. Great Elder, don't worry. I will definitely cultivate diligently and try my best to draw qi into my body as soon as possible. In the future, I will add glory to our Tian family. He Xingjiu said confidently. Great Elder nodded. If she really cultivated spiritual and demonic cultivation together, she would have to be heavily groomed in the future. Tian Rulu pursed her lips in her heart. She was extremely sure that Yun Chuzhou was spouting nonsense. However, it didn't matter. It was just 10 days. She could afford to wait. He Xingjiu heaved a sigh of relief when she saw that the Great Elder had turned around to give pointers to the other Tian family juniors. She had been really unlucky recently, and these unlucky things happened one after another. Although she could hide for a while, she could not hide forever. She had not sensed the demonic element at all. Not to mention 10 days, even if it was 10 years, she would not be able to draw qi into her body. She was really worried to death. This fellow pretended to meditate and cultivate every day. In fact, every day, he was thinking of a problem. How could he deceive the Great Elder? Seeing that 10 days were almost up, Yun Chuzhou finally thought of a solution that was not a solution. When the others were not paying attention, she released Sha Mo and let Sha Mo slap the doll in front of her. After keeping Sha Mo away, she shouted happily, Great Elder, come and see. I have finally absorbed Qi into my body. First Elder immediately ran over, and even Second Elder and Third Elder ran over as well. First Elder stared at the faint traces on the mannequin, and his old face smiled like a flower. This was indeed the trace left behind by the demonic Qi attack. Who would have thought that this little trash was actually a genius who cultivated both spirit and devil? A peerless genius. Ha ha ha. Their heavenly devil clan was indeed noble and extraordinary. They had actually produced such a peerless genius. Tian Rulu almost gritted her teeth. It was impossible. How could this trash be a genius who cultivated both spirit and devil? She must have cheated. Sister Jiao, congratulations. However, we didn't see how you attacked just now. Why don't you give it another try? The Great Elder echoed from the side, Yes. Give it another try. Let's have a look. Hey Shinjo, First Elder, I have just absorbed Qi into my body. The demonic Qi in my body is limited. The previous palm strike has used up all the demonic Qi. I will demonstrate it to you after a few days of cultivation. What do you think? Yun Shujo said with some difficulty. Yes, what you said makes sense. I won't accumulate too much demonic Qi after I absorb Qi into my body. It won't be too late to talk about it in a few days, First Elder said with a smile. He found Hei Shinjo very pleasing to the eye. What a joke. She was a genius. Although her cultivation was very weak now, there was a high chance that she would be qualified to cultivate the internal 8 volumes. By then, she would soar to the sky. Tian Rulu didn't expect the Great Elder to be convinced so easily. Her eyes flickered as she said, Great Elder, Sister Jiao has just absorbed Qi into her body. She doesn't know anything. Why don't you check if there's anything wrong with her meridians? Hei Shinjo wished that she could strangle Tian Ruhua to death. This little bitch was really hateful. If she still refused, it would inevitably arouse the suspicion of the Grand Elder. However, if she didn't refuse, how could she get any devil Qi from her meridians? At this moment, the Gowei Batsao in her dantian shook its leaves. Yun Shijia's heart skipped a beat. Do you have a way to disguise my meridians? Gowei Batsao immediately waved its leaves proudly. This was the first time Yun Shujio had seen Gowei Batsao so cute. She immediately said to the Great Elder, Then I'll have to trouble the Great Elder. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know your report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 6142, Second Round of Selection. Tian Rulu bit her lip, almost unable to suppress the jealousy and hatred in her heart. But it didn't matter. That trash's demonic Qi was in disorder, so it was impossible for her to pass the second round of selection. As long as she was qualified to cultivate the outer 8 chapters, Tian Ruhua, that trash, still couldn't compare to her. If she was lucky, she might even be qualified to cultivate the inner 8 chapters. If that was the case, this trash couldn't be compared to her anymore. Moreover, even if this good-for-nothing had really gained enlightenment, she still had countless ways to kill her. With this thought, Tian Rulu calmed down and focused her attention on the statue that appeared again in the ancestral hall. The second round of the selection was different from the first round, which was arranged according to age. This time, it was a lottery. Yun Shujio looked at number 19 in her hand, and her heart did not waver. Anyway, she had temporarily saved her life. When the time came, she could just casually strike out with her palm. The devil Qi in her meridians was in disorder. With the protection of the First Elder, no one could say anything. Tian Rushan was the first to walk into the ancestral hall. He calmed his Qi and focused his mind, then struck out with all his strength at the statue. The devil Qi contained in the palm wind did not have any reaction when it hit the statue. It was like a clay ox entering the sea. Tian Russian's face was immediately filled with disappointment, and the third elder's face was not too good either. Since the three of them were teaching these juniors separately, they also had a bit of competitive spirit. They did not expect that Tian Russian, who he favored the most, would fail. The next few people who were going to carry out the selection also failed, and it was Tian Ruliang's turn. Tian Ruliang took a deep breath and slapped the statue with all his strength. The demonic chi in the palm wind hit the statue, and the illusory image of the supreme demonic scripture gradually appeared above the statue, and it slowly opened. On one half of the page, blurry words appeared, emitting a faint black light. Tian Ruliang was ecstatic in his heart. It was a success. He had succeeded. He had obtained the qualifications to cultivate the outer 8 volumes. From now on, his life would be different. After the phantom disappeared, Tian Ruliang walked out of the ancestral hall in high spirits. Second elder nodded repeatedly, "You can cultivate with me from now on." This had always been the practice of the Tian family. The previous group teaching was also for this purpose. Tian Ruliang couldn't help but be overjoyed. After bowing, he retreated to the side. Next was Tian Rula's turn. Tian Rulu walked into the ancestral hall somewhat nervously. She bit her lip, took a deep breath, and waved her palm at the statue. The shadow of the supreme demonic scripture gradually appeared above the statue, and it slowly opened. Blurry words appeared on half of the page, emitting a faint black light. Although Tian Rulu was a little disappointed that she did not obtain the qualifications to cultivate the inner 8 chapters, it was still a good thing that she was able to obtain the qualifications to cultivate the outer 8 chapters. Hei Xinjia's mouth twitched when she saw this. This supreme demonic codex was most likely blind. It actually allowed Tian Rulu, this little bitch, to obtain the qualifications to cultivate the outer 8 chapters. Only Tian Ruji, who was taught by third elder, obtained the qualifications to cultivate the outer 8 chapters. The third elder's expression became better. No matter what, he was now tied with the other 2 grand elders. The next few people failed. Only one person was left. It was Hei Xinjiu, who was doted on by thousands of people. Yun Shujiu saw the great elder's loving and expectant eyes. She had goosebumps all over and walked into the ancestral hall. She had already thought it through. In a while, she would use the demonic energy disorder as an excuse to give up on the selection so that this broken statue would not be cheated again. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 6143. After Hei Xinjiu entered the ancestral hall, she began to pretend to mobilize the devil chi in her body. After a moment, she turned to the great elder with a troubled face and said, "Great elder, the devil chi in my body is still in disorder. Although I am not satisfied, I can only give up the selection." The great elder was disappointed. He had hoped that Yun Shujiu would be qualified to cultivate the outer 8 chapters, or even the inner 8 chapters, more than the other 2 elders. Who would have thought that she would give up now? The great elder thought for a moment and said, "Ruhua girl, even if you can't use your full strength due to the disorder of your devil chi, you might as well give it a try. What if you succeed? After all, everyone only has one chance to participate in the selection. It's a pity to give it up just like that." Yun Shujiu nodded. "All right, I'll try my best." After saying that, the guy pretended to mobilize the devil chi that did not exist and slapped the statue. Crack. Crack. The cracks on the statue began to spread again. Hei Xinjiu, fraud. It was definitely fraud. She was just pretending and did not even dare to use her spiritual power. How could she be blamed for this? The first elder and the others were also dumbfounded. What was going on? Why did the statue of the supreme demonic code crack again? Could it be that Tian Ruhua's devil chi was so strong that even the supreme demonic code could not withstand it? How could this be possible? A hint of viciousness flashed across Tian Rulla's eyes as she said in a low voice, seemingly unintentionally. Previously, Ninth Sister's blood had already caused the statue to crack, and now the demonic chi is like this. Could it be because she's a mixed demon? Old Madame Tian immediately echoed, what little girl Rulu said makes sense. It must be that the supreme demonic canon dislikes her bloodline to be impure, and that's why it's enraged. When the two of them said this, the others also echoed. It's really possible that this is the case. How can a mixed devil have the qualifications to cultivate the supreme demonic canon? Exactly. If you think about it carefully, she's not even a proper member of the Tian family. She shouldn't have been allowed to participate in the selection at all. Previously, the Great Elder said that she cultivates both spirit and devil. I don't think it's of much use. Her aptitude is really that good, and she wouldn't have been useless for so long. Just as everyone was discussing, the sound of crashing could be heard. The statue of the supreme demonic canon had completely shattered. This time, the members of the Tian family exploded. Previously, when the statue had cracks, they could still tolerate it, but now, they could no longer tolerate it. Now that the statue had shattered, how could they carry out the selection of the supreme demonic canon in the future? Immediately, someone shouted angrily, Tian Ruhua is a sinner of our Tian family, she deserves to die. Yes, kill her. Maybe if we kill her, the statue will be restored to its original state. The first elder was also dumbfounded. He had never expected such an outcome. If he had known this would happen, he would not have let her try. The expressions of the second elder and the third elder were very unsightly. Big brother, even if this Tian Ruhua has the physique of a cultivator who cultivates both spirit and devil, she can only die to atone for such a big mistake. Otherwise, we won't be able to answer to our clansmen. Moreover, only by killing her can we appease the anger of the Supreme Devil Code. The Great Elder gritted his teeth. At this point, he could only kill Tian Ruhua. Otherwise, his position as the Great Elder would be hard to maintain. He strode towards the ancestral hall, preparing to bring Yunchujiu out and kill her to appease the anger of the crowd. Hei Xinjiu felt miserable in her heart. What did she do wrong? Was she going to be scammed by this damned, supreme demonic code? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 6144 was an unbelievable scene. Yunchujiu saw that the Great Elder was getting closer and closer to her. She gritted her teeth. Now, the lies of the spiritual and demonic cultivation could not save her. She could only hide in the great void mystic realm. However, before that, she had to vent her anger. She kicked the pile of fragments of the supreme demonic code. Damn it, she was asking you to cheat. I'll make you hurt me. I'll kick you to death. Just as he was about to hide in the great void mystic realm, the image of the supreme demonic code gradually appeared where the statue was and slowly opened. Blurry words appeared on half of the page, emitting a faint black light. Yunchujiu, the first elder, everyone, following that, something even more unbelievable happened. The fragments started to gather at a speed visible to the naked eye and eventually turned into a statue again. It looked exactly the same as before, even the cracks on it were gone. It was as if everything before was just an illusion. However, the illusory image above the statue still existed. The Great Elder had already raised one of his feet and was about to enter the ancestral hall. When he saw the strange scene before him, he quickly retracted his foot. Previously, he thought that the statue had broken and the selection had ended. That was why he wanted to come in and capture the person. However, it did not seem to be the case now. Naturally, he did not dare to enter the ancestral hall and interrupt the selection. Yunchujiu cursed in her heart. So this broken statue needed a kick. If she had known earlier, she would have kicked it a few times. The guy adjusted his facial expression and turned his head to the Great Elder in surprise. Great Elder, did I get the qualification to cultivate the 8 chapters? The Great Elder nodded stiffly. No matter what the process was, there was no objection to the result. Therefore, He Shinjo left the ancestral hall in high spirits and stood beside Tian Rulu. At this point, the selection of the Supreme Demonic Codex had ended. A total of 4 people had obtained the qualifications to cultivate the other 8 chapters of the Supreme Demonic Codex. They were Tian Rulu, Tian Ruhua, Tian Ruliang, who was in charge of teaching by the first elder, Tian Ruhua, and Tian Ruji, who was in charge of teaching by the second elder. The 3 people entered the ancestral hall and carefully examined the statue of the Supreme Demonic Codex. They did not find anything unusual. The 3 of them, together with Tian Shefeng, chanted the secret language together. The statue disappeared in front of everyone. The Grand Elder said to Tian Rulu and the other 3, "Tomorrow at midnight, all of you will gather in the underground cultivation room on time." After the Grand Elder finished speaking, he dismissed everyone. After everyone left, the 3 Grand Elders and Tian Shefeng stared at each other. Even though the statue had returned to its original state, the unbelievable scene from before still left them puzzled. In the end, the Grand Elder said, "Since Ruhua girl has been qualified to cultivate the outer 8 volumes, and she is also a cultivator of both spiritual and demonic arts, let's wait and see. In any case, she has been right under our noses all the time. Even if something is wrong, she won't be able to stir up any trouble." Tian Shefeng looked at the few spirit tablets that had been burnt in the ancestral hall and felt that the Grand Elder's words were not very credible. He always felt that since Ruhua girl's return this time, there had been a lot of trouble. Was she really unable to stir up any trouble? On the other side, He Shinjo happily walked towards her courtyard. No matter what, she could be considered to have saved her little life for the time being. Moreover, she had obtained the qualifications to cultivate the outer 8 volumes. This was really something to be congratulated on. However, she quickly thought of a crucial problem. She could not cultivate demonic chi at all. Even if she obtained the qualifications to cultivate the outer 8 volumes, what use was it? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know your report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 6145, Xiao Hei's book. Sha Mo, who was inside the spiritual beast pouch, said happily, "Little girl, I didn't expect you to be so capable. You actually obtained the qualifications to cultivate the other 8 chapters. Although you can't cultivate demonic chi, I can. When the time comes, tell me the cultivation technique. After I become stronger, I will also help you find Shui Wuji and your lover, Di Baiming." Yun Chujo, hee. It would be impossible for her to believe him. After this old fool became stronger, the first thing he would do would probably be to think of a way to break the demonic god contract with her. Then, he would kill her and even help her find someone? It was impossible. Sha Mo was not discouraged. After all, there was still a long way to go. He did not believe that he would not be able to convince this wretched girl. When Yun Shujiu returned to her courtyard, Qing Mama, Chuyue, and Dong Shui were all waiting for her at the door with excited expressions. They were now in the same boat. Naturally, they hoped that Yun Shujiu would become better and better. Only when their master became successful would they be able to follow him. At least they did not have to worry about old lady Tian and Tian Rulu taking revenge on them. "Congratulations, Miss Jiu." The 3 of them sincerely congratulated her. Yun Shujiu put her hands behind her back and nodded proudly. It was rare for her to generously reward the 3 of them with some magic crystals, and then she returned to her own room. After all this, it was already evening. This guy had finished his dinner and sat cross-legged on the bed, trying to cultivate devil chi again. However, it was already midnight, and he still could not feel any devil element. Sha Mo said slyly, "Little girl, don't waste your energy. You are not the material to cultivate devil chi. Why don't you try to cripple your spiritual power cultivation? Get lost." Yun Shujiu said in a bad mood. Of course, she understood what Sha Mo was planning. If her spiritual power cultivation was crippled, he might be able to break the devil god's contract. Yun Shujo couldn't be bothered to talk nonsense with Sha Mo anymore, so she simply cut off the spiritual sense connection with him. Forget it, I'll sleep first. I still have to get up early tomorrow morning. Yun Shujo was very tired from worrying all day. She lay on the bed for a while and fell asleep. The moonlight shone through the window and into the room. Yun Shujia's boots by the bed actually moved strangely. A moment later, a book came out from under the boots. It was a pitch-black book that was only the size of a thumb. The book floated up and emitted a strange black light that enveloped Yun Shujo. Several wisps of red mist suddenly drifted out from between Yun Shujia's brows, and the Xiao Hei book fell to the ground with a thud. After a while, it crawled back under its boots with great difficulty. The red mist also immediately shrank back into Yun Shujia's forehead, as if nothing had happened. But Face and the others had lost contact with Yun Shujia's spiritual sense in a split second, so they naturally did not know what had happened. Only the Gowei Batsao in its dantian shook its leaves, as if everything was under its control. However, it did not intend to tell Hei Xinjiu about this. It did not lack food now, so it would keep this news for a better meal in the future. Early the next morning, Qing Mama knocked on the door to wake Yun Shujo up. Although Yun Shujo was very unhappy, she still suppressed her anger and washed up to eat breakfast with a cold face. Qing Mama and the other two were so scared that they did not dare to breathe. After these days, they had long been tamed by Hei Xinjiu and did not even dare to say no. After Yun Shujo finished her meal, she went to the underground cultivation room. Chapter 6146 Demonic Codex imparted. Yun Shujo arrived not too early. When she arrived, Tian Rulu, Tian Ruyang, and Tian Ruji had already arrived. Yun Shujo obediently greeted the three of them, and the three of them nodded. Tian Rulu even pretended to be concerned about her. Soon, the three elders arrived. The great elder glanced at the four of them and said, "Since you have already obtained the qualifications to cultivate the outer 8 chapters, there are some secrets that you should know." When Tian Rulu and the other three heard this, they immediately straightened their backs and listened attentively. Everyone knows that our Sky Demon clan's most profound cultivation technique is the Supreme Demonic Canon, but no one knows how the Supreme Demonic Canones cultivated and passed down. Among them, the Supreme Demonic Canon's introductory martial arts can be practiced by anyone, even if they are not members of the Tian clan. However, apart from that, only members of the Tian family could practice the other 8 chapters and the inner 8 chapters. Once the others practiced them, their meridians would be reversed, and they would vomit blood and die. Not only that, neither the outer 8 chapters or the inner 8 chapters could be taught by words. They could only be taught by the spiritual sense of the Supreme Demonic Canon, and it was one-on-one. As the Supreme Demonic Canon is broad and profound, so far, everyone has received different spiritual sense teaching, so we can only give you limited help. You still need to rely on your own comprehension ability. Yun Shujo, Sha Mo, the two of them cursed in unison with their spiritual perception. Fuck, what a waste of effort. Only members of the Tian family could practice it. They were not members of the Tian family, so it would be useless even if they learned it. Moreover, they could not teach this damn thing to others. It was really useless. Compared to Hei Xinjia's internal criticism, Tian Rulu and the other two were full of excitement. The more rules there were, the more powerful the Supreme Devil Code was, and the more different they were. The great elder paused for a moment and said, "Follow me and receive the spiritual sense of the Supreme Devil Code." Yun Shujo was confused. What did he mean by receiving the spiritual sense of the Supreme Devil Code? Was he going to the ancestral hall to ask the broken statue to teach them? Yun Shujo and the other three followed the three elders to the end of the underground cultivation room. They didn't know how the three elders operated it, but the original stone wall disappeared. What appeared in front of them was a transparent enchantment. There was a stone platform in the enchantment, and a black book was placed on it. On the cover of the book were the words, "Supreme Demonic Canon." It seemed that this was the real, Supreme Demonic Canon. The four of you will draw lots to receive the teachings of the demonic book. As for what you will receive, that will depend on your own luck. After the great elder finished speaking, he let Yun Shujo and the other three draw lots. Yun Shujo drew the last place again, but it didn't matter to her. After all, even if she received the teachings, she wouldn't be able to cultivate. Tian Rulu drew the first place and immediately entered the enchantment excitedly. She kneeled in front of the stone platform according to the great elder and said piously, Tian Rulu, the 30th generation disciple of the Tian family, kneels and asks the supreme demonic book to teach her the cultivation method. As soon as she finished her words, the supreme demonic book on the stone platform emitted a black light, and a black symbol rushed to Tian Rulu's forehead. A moment later, the light disappeared, and Tian Rulu stood up happily and walked out. The great elder asked with a smile, which aspect did you receive the teachings on? Tian Rulu couldn't hide her joy and said, it's a technique that can increase attack power. The great elder nodded with satisfaction and signaled Tian Ruyang to enter the enchantment. Chapter 6147, Get Lost. Following that, Tian Ruyang and Tian Ruji were successfully imparted with the demonic book. Moreover, they were all cultivation techniques that could increase their attack power. The three great elders were very satisfied. Among the cultivation techniques imparted by the supreme demonic book, the most useful one was the cultivation technique that could increase their attack power. Next was Yun Shujia's turn. Yun Shujo walked into the enchantment unhurriedly and then walked to the front of the stone platform. After kneeling down, she said loudly according to what Tian Rulu and the others had said, Tian Ruhua, the current 30th generation disciple of the Tian family, has knelt down and asked the supreme demonic book to teach her the cultivation method. The supreme demonic book on the stone platform emitted a black light, and then a huge character floated out, Scram. Yun Shujo, the great elder and the others, after a dead silence, Yun Shujo laughed dryly. Demonic book, now is not the time to joke. Hurry up and teach me the cultivation technique. As Yun Shujo said this, she secretly took out a large kitchen knife from her storage ring and said in a low voice, Damn it, if you continue to play tricks, I will chop you into pieces. The black light above the supreme demonic book flashed, and the huge, Scram, character turned into several small black characters and rushed towards Yun Shujia's forehead. Yun Shujo was stunned to find that nothing appeared in her spiritual sense. Where were those characters? Could it be that she couldn't feel anything because she was a fake? Or could it be that this damned blackmailer demonic book didn't teach her anything at all and did it on purpose? Seeing that the supreme demonic book had returned to normal, this guy could only stand up and pretend to be happy as he exited the enchantment. The great elder asked with a complicated expression, which aspect did you receive the instruction on? Yun Shujo blinked her eyes. It's about the escape skill. I guess the demonic book only gave me the word Scram because it gave me the escape skill. The three great elders were completely dumbfounded. What was that? It gave him the escape skill? The supreme demonic book actually taught such a skill? But even if they didn't believe it, there was nothing they could do. After all, they had just seen the supreme demonic book teaching Yun Shujo the cultivation technique. Moreover, this could also explain why the word Scram appeared before. After all, if the supreme demonic book really told her to scram, then it wouldn't teach her the cultivation technique later on. However, what was the use of this escape skill? Could it be that when the Tian family fought with someone in the future, the others would be full of fighting spirit and charge into the battle, and this person would directly escape? Yun Shujo saw that the faces of the three people were filled with words that were difficult to explain, so she immediately straightened her back and said, the so-called thunder and rain are all the grace of the monarch. Since the supreme demonic book has taught me the escape skill, it probably has a purpose. Perhaps it will be useful in the future. The great elder and the other two thought about it and agreed. The things taught by the supreme demonic book would definitely be useful. Since things had already come to this point, they could only do so. The three of them closed the barrier and said to Tian Rulu and the other two, from tomorrow onwards, all of you will come over to cultivate at midnight every day. Once you finish your cultivation at midnight, you will have a day of rest every 10 days. Yun Shujia's heart instantly turned cold. She had to get up early every day and go to the dark to cultivate here? Then, did she still have her own time? The great elder continued, you are now the pillars of the Tian family. Your treatment will naturally improve and will provide you with the best cultivation resources. However, if any of you slack off, you will be severely punished. Chapter 6148. What was that thing outside Chapter 6148? Hei Xinjiu was so regretful that her intestines were turning green. If she could turn back time, she definitely wouldn't have participated in the selection. But now, not only did she have to come over every day to cultivate, she also had to be on guard against the lies of the spiritual and demonic cultivators being exposed. It was truly tragic. For the next few days, Tian Rulu and the other two meditated every day to cultivate and attack the mannequin. Hei Xinjiu, on the other hand, kept circling around the mannequin, gloriously calling it training her body movement technique. This fellow didn't want to do this, but what else could she do? She could only come up with such a stupid idea to temporarily deal with it, in case the great elder and the others asked her to use her devil chi again. On this day, after the cultivation ended, Yun Shujiu and the other three left the underground cultivation room. Sister Jiu, is the devil chi in your body still chaotic? It can't be that you haven't cultivated any devil chi at all, right? Tian Rulu said with a slightly provocative tone. Yun Shujiu looked at her as if she was a fool. She ignored her and walked away. Tian Rulu sneered in her heart. She didn't believe that this trash Tian Ruhua was really a spiritual and demonic cultivator. If she could fool her for a while, she wouldn't be able to fool her for the rest of her life. She wanted to see how long this trash could keep it a secret. Yun Shujiu returned to her residence. After dinner, she laid on the bed and straightened her body. When would such days end? Not to mention finding clues about Xue Wuji and Di Baiming, she would expose herself sooner or later. Even if she didn't expose herself, her cultivation base wouldn't make any progress. The great elder and the others would give up on grooming her. They might even punish her later. Yun Shujiu looked at the lightning strike stone in her storage ring. Even if she used it to cultivate, her cultivation base would be limited. What should she do? Sha Mo, which part of the demon continent has more lightning? Sha Mo said with his head drooping, you want to absorb the power of lightning, right? I advise you to give up. Ever since His Majesty the Demon Emperor saved us, the demon race has been living a good life. There has never been any heavenly lightning. Do you mean that there was heavenly lightning on the demon continent before? What do you mean by the Demon Emperor saving you? Isn't it just to quell the internal strife of your 6 races? What do you think His Majesty the Demon Emperor relied on to make the 6 great demon races bow down to him? Naturally, it was him who made a great contribution. Originally, our demon race was not like this at all. Not only did we not have the sun, moon, and stars, but the weather was also terrible. It was a dark world. Not only that, heavenly thunder would strike down from time to time. It could be said that the people did not have a good life. Therefore, we wanted to seize the human continent from time to time. We had no other choice. It was not until the Demon Emperor appeared out of nowhere and broke the barrier above our demon continent that we could see the light of day again and live a happy life. Therefore, if I knew that the Demon Emperor was fake, would have to kill him. I would skin him and pull out his tendons. Yun Shujiu automatically filtered out Sha Mo's nonsense. She was puzzled. There was a barrier on the demon continent? A barrier covering the entire continent? Wasn't this too unbelievable? Who had such a great ability to create a barrier covering the entire continent? However, she didn't have time to think about this. The key point was that there was no heavenly thunder on the demon continent. How could she cultivate in the future? At this moment, a silver lightning bolt cut through the night sky, causing the dim room to light up for a short while. Yun Shujiu, Sha Mo, explain to me what is that thing outside? Sha Mo. Chapter 61-49 The thunderstorm was very dangerous. Sha Mo swallowed his saliva and said dryly, "You've seen wrongly. Then I reckon that it must be someone who activated the devil talisman. It can't be lightning." Boom. 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 A few more thunderclaps sounded in succession. Sha Mo, he felt that his face was a little swollen. He must have drunk too much water during the day. Yes, that was it. Yun Shujo snorted coldly and walked to the door. There were already dense raindrops falling from the outside. Although she wanted to absorb the power of the lightning, it was only ordinary silver lightning. Moreover, it was very rare and far away, so she could only enjoy it. Ching Mama, who lived in a side room, heard the sound of Yun Shujo opening the door and quickly stuck her head out. "Ninth miss, the thunderstorm is very dangerous. Go back to the house quickly. It will be bad if you are struck by lightning." Yun Shujo felt that Sha Mo was not reliable at all, so she waved at Ching Mama, indicating for her to come to her house. Ching Mama ran over eagerly. After being taught a lesson by Hei Shinjo a few times, she had lost all her temper. "Miss Jo, it's getting late, why aren't you resting? What can I do for you?" Ching Mama asked politely. "Nothing much, just a casual chat." "You just said that the thunderstorm was very dangerous, why did you say that?" Yun Shujo asked curiously. Ching Mama thought, how come Miss Jo doesn't know such common sense? However, on second thought, it was quite normal that Miss Jo's parents had died when she was young and no one taught her. Therefore, she said, "The silver lightning is not very dangerous, but purple heavenly lightning will occasionally strike you. If you are struck by it, you will be either injured or killed. Therefore, Miss Jo, don't go out in the rainy days." Hei Xinjia's eyes flickered. "Purple heavenly lightning will occasionally strike you? Are you not lying to me?" "Miss Jo, I wouldn't dare to lie to you even if I had 100 guts. Just a month ago, my sister-in-law's cousin-in-law's cousin's daughter-in-law's neighbor's nephew was struck by the purple heavenly lightning and turned into ashes." Yun Shujia's face was full of horror and curiosity. Doesn't he know how to dodge? Does he just let the heavenly lightning strike him? "My lady, the purple heavenly lightning can turn around, and sometimes there are a few heavenly lightning bolts in a row. Unless it's someone with a high cultivation level, how can he dodge it? Sigh, I heard that 10,000 years ago before the great devil emperor went missing, there was no heavenly lightning at all in our demon continent. However, after the great devil emperor went missing, the heavenly lightning bolts became more frequent. Even after His Majesty the great demon emperor reincarnated and returned to the demon continent, the heavenly thunder still continued unabated. In my opinion, if this continues, sooner or later, the demon continent will return to the days of darkness and suffering frequent lightning strikes." Yun Shujo immediately got a lot of information from Ching Mama's words. The so-called Great Demon Emperor should be the Demon Emperor that Sha Mo mentioned. The current Demon Emperor was the reincarnation of the Great Demon Emperor? Didn't that mean that he came from the human continent? Yun Shujia's face was full of curiosity, and she even revealed a hint of worship. "Mama, I didn't expect you to know so much. I grew up." "Sigh, tell me more about these things." As she spoke, she took out some pastries from her storage ring. "Ching Mama, come, sit down and eat while we talk." Ching Mama was flattered and sat down in fear and trepidation. Yun Shujo poured tea, passed pastries, and flattered her. Ching Mama's mouth became more and more open. Chapter 6150 was definitely fake. I'm not trying to scare you. Other than the frequent lightning strikes, the dark night is getting longer and longer, and the cloudy days are getting longer and longer. I think sooner or later, we will return to the bitter days of the past, said Ching Mama with a sigh. Isn't there still His Majesty the Devil Emperor? He could save us back then, and he will definitely be able to save us in the future, said Yun Shujo confidently. Qing Mama looked around and said in a low voice, "It's not that the old woman's words are unpleasant. Although our current Devil Emperor's cultivation level is high, he has no way to deal with matters like heavenly thunder and weather. He probably lost a lot of his abilities after reincarnating." Yun Shujiu saw that Qing Mama's chatterbox was about to be shut up, so she probed, "Qing Mama, to be disrespectful, how can we be sure that His Majesty is the reincarnation of the great demon emperor? I heard that his body shape and mask are exactly the same as the legendary great demon emperor, especially the red mole between his eyebrows. You can be sure that he is the reincarnation of the great demon emperor just by relying on these? Isn't that too hasty?" Yun Shujiu said in disbelief. Qing Mama smiled and said, "Of course, there's more. If he isn't the reincarnation of the great demon emperor, how could he find the entrance to the demon continent? The most important thing is that his blood can open the great demon emperor's bedroom. When the great demon emperor left, he specially set up a formation in the bedroom. Only his blood can open it. Also, his cultivation is higher than the heads of the 6 great clans. Only the reincarnation of the great demon emperor has such a talent." Following that, Yun Shujiu learned from Qing Mama that the current Devil Emperor had just returned to the Devil Continent 1,000 years ago. After a round of verification, he was finally recognized by the 6 great clans. Although at the beginning, everyone still had some doubts about him, but as time passed, the power of the Devil Emperor grew stronger and stronger. The 6 great clans also recognized the fact that he was the reincarnation of the Devil Emperor. Yun Shujiu's demonic aura inside the spiritual beast bag cursed loudly, "Fake. It must be fake. The mask we saw before was the Demon Emperor's mask, his mask must be fake. These idiots, they were actually deceived by a fake, what a bunch of trash. Bring me to the palace immediately, I want to expose the real face of that fake. I want to skin him, pull out his tendons, and drink his blood." Yun Shujiu ignored Sha Mo and continued to chat with Qing Mama. "Mama, you said that heavenly lightning is becoming more frequent. Where is the most frequent? Our imperial city is still better. There are other small cities outside the city where the heavenly lightning is more frequent. I heard that the northern continent's heavenly lightning is more frequent when it is occupied by demon beasts. It is precisely because of this that the demon beasts have become more and more restless recently. Sigh, I heard that when the great demon emperor was around, those demon beasts were extremely obedient and did not interfere with our demon race. But now, from time to time, they would sneak attack the border cities. After 10 years or so, a great war would break out. As a result, many people died." Qing Mama sighed and said. Yun Shujiu was very surprised when she heard that. More than half of the demon continent was occupied by demon beasts? And there would be wars from time to time? Sha Mo, who was in the spiritual beast bag, snorted, "Isn't it because these useless people are useless? Back then, when His Majesty the Demon Emperor was here, those demon beasts didn't dare to fart. If it weren't for His Majesty the Demon Emperor's kindness, they would have become slaves of our demon race." Chapter 6151 Dilemma. Yun Shujiu chatted with Qing Mama for a while more before she was rewarded with some magic crystals to send her away. Sha Mo said impatiently, "Hurry up and think of a way to bring me into the palace. I want to expose the real face of that fake." Yun Shujiu sneered, "Even if you can't expose his real face, so what? Can you beat him? Or can you command the 6 great clans?" Sha Mo's face immediately turned red as he roared, "Although I cannot defeat him, but the people of the 6 great clans know that he is fake, they will definitely gang up and attack him. You are too naive. So many years have passed, and the Demon Emperor has already grasped a powerful power. Even if the 6 great clans had doubts, they would still pretend to be deaf and mute. After all, who became the Demon Emperor did not have much influence on them, so why would they make unnecessary sacrifices? Moreover, with the presence of this fake Demon Emperor, the 6 great clans could maintain a delicate balance. No one was willing to break this balance. Also, it was cold when people left. The first batch of old demons were already gone. How could these people now really be loyal to the original Great Demon Emperor? Yun Shujiu said with slight mockery. Human nature was cold and thin. There were very few people like Sha Mo. Although Sha Mo was not convinced, he had to admit that what Yun Shujiu said made sense. Putting everything else aside, the Sha family did not even recognize him as their ancestor. How could they fight against the current Demon Emperor because of the unreachable Great Demon Emperor? Right, isn't your demon race indestructible? Then what about the old demons from before? Yun Shujiu asked curiously. Our demon race's so-called indestructible means that we can be reincarnated on other continents, and under certain conditions, we might awaken the memories of the demon race. If the demon race's continent is similar to the reincarnation of humans, the past would be forgotten, and the past would all be forgotten. Yun Shujiu, the demon race is truly a magical species. Sha Mo anxiously circled in the spirit beast pouch. This won't do, that won't do either. Don't tell me I can just watch that fake demon emperor strut around? If that's the case, how can I face His Majesty the Demon Emperor? Yun Shujiu was also frowning. Now, she was in a difficult situation. The supreme demonic scripture had never taught her any cultivation technique. Moreover, even if it was taught, she wouldn't be able to cultivate demonic chi. Although there were occasional thunderbolts falling from the sky in the imperial city, according to Qing Mama, they weren't very dense and couldn't solve her cultivation problem at all. Also, Buttface and the others were spiritual beasts that cultivated SPI. The spiritual power in the demon race continent was thin, and now they relied on the spiritual stones Yun Shujiu threw into the spiritual beast bag to maintain their cultivation. Fortunately, she was so poor that she only had spiritual stones left. Otherwise, she could only let these dumb beasts hibernate. Even foodies like De Hua could eat the food of the demon race, but they could not increase their cultivation. In short, they ate for free. Of course, there was only one exception, and that was the Goei Batsao. This fellow felt that the pills of the demon race were too delicious. The pills that the Tian family had given to Yun Shujiu had all entered its stomach. The originally dark leaves had become much brighter recently. It was simply wonderful. The more Yun Shujiu thought about it, the more she felt a headache. It would be great if she could cultivate the demon chi. Many problems could be solved easily. It was just a pity that until now, she still could not sense the demon element. She gritted her teeth and began to meditate cross-legged. Although she might not succeed if she persisted, she would definitely not succeed if she did not persist. A moment later, she opened her eyes. Her eyes were wide open. Sha Mo, what color is the devil element? Chapter 6152, A String of Demonic Elements. Sha Mo's expression brightened. The demonic elements are black. Could it be that you sensed it? What? Why is the demonic element I sense purple? Yun Shujiu's expression fell when she said this. She was also dumbfounded. Wasn't this purple element the thunder element that she was very familiar with? So it was just a false joy. Sha Mo also curled his lips. Little girl, I think you are becoming more and more stupid. Of course, the purple element is the thunder element. You have a heavenly thunder spirit root to begin with. What's so strange about sensing the thunder element? Yun Shujiu was a little depressed, but on second thought, it was not bad to be able to absorb some thunder element. Anyway, she had nothing to do. Therefore, she continued to sit cross-legged and began to absorb the purple thunder element. A purple lightning element was absorbed into Yun Shujiu's meridians. Then, she used her spiritual sense to sense that a series of small black light spots were surging over from all directions. Then, the purple light spot surged into Yun Shujiu's meridians. Yun Shujiu was stunned and absorbed another small purple light spot. Then, a series of small black light spots surged into her meridians. She tried several times in succession, but it was the same. In the blink of an eye, a wisp of faint black gas formed in her body and surged into her dantian. Then, well, there was nothing else. That wisp of black gas was completely divided up by Goei Batsao, Black Bead, and the Great Void Sect. There was nothing left for Hei Shinjo. Yun Shujia's mind was blank. She immediately cut off the spiritual connection with Sha Mo and handed over control of her body to Goei Batsao. Goei Batsao, what's going on? What's that wisp of black gas? Yun Shujo asked impatiently. Goei Batsao waved its arms a few times and stretched its back. Then it said proudly, now you know that I'm useful, right? Don't scold me a few times in the future. I'm not bragging. If I wasn't still a baby, I promised to take you to show off and take you to the peak of your life. Yun Shujo was so angry that she was twitching. She didn't know where this Goei Batsao learned it from, but it was getting more and more arrogant. Just when she was about to scold Goei Batsao finally got to the point. According to common sense, no one can cultivate both spirit and devil at the same time, but you have the heavenly thunder spirit root, so you are naturally different. The heavenly thunder exists not only in the human continent, but also in the demon continent, so it can be your carrier to cultivate devil chi. You mean that I can naturally absorb demonic chi by absorbing the lightning element in the air? Yun Shujo asked in surprise. That's about it. Moreover, the cultivation speed is much faster than simply cultivating demonic chi. If you are lucky enough to be struck by heavenly lightning a few times, your spiritual power cultivation and demonic chi cultivation will increase at the same time, Go Weiba said with some pride. It really had good taste. The host it chose was really too outstanding. Yun Shujo was both happy and thought of a question. Since you knew, why didn't you tell me earlier? It caused me to waste so much time. Goei Batsao said righteously, there was no lightning before, and the free lightning elements in the air were very few. Are you blaming me for not absorbing it? Yun Shujo, she had sensed the lightning element in the air a few times before, but she did not take it seriously, so she did not absorb it. However, why did she feel that Goei Batsao deliberately did not tell her? Chapter 1949, Space Conference, 1, Boom. 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 In the dream world, 11 was still pulling the head of the god of destruction, using its body to smash star after star and constantly pressing it to the planet to rub. If the god of destruction didn't want to be beaten up, sure you would satisfy it. Even if it was 11, it was more than enough to heavily injure the god of destruction who had yet to recover. Ugh. In the dream universe, no matter how strong the Black Panther's god of destruction was, it couldn't withstand 11, who was using the reverse Pangu evolution method. However, the closer it was to a desperate situation, the crazier this guy became. He counterattacked even more crazily, even if it was only one-sided. I am the god of destruction. It roared angrily. To Shiryu and the other's surprise, blood tears even flowed out of the corners of the god of destruction's eyes. It seemed to be venting its dissatisfaction and anger. No matter what your reasons are. Shiryu and the others looked at the Black Panther's god of destruction with burning gazes. That made sense. No matter who it was, how could they have an anti-cosmic personality? The god of destruction probably had its own reasons. But no matter what the reason was, since it threatened the safety of him and his companions, they could only completely eliminate the other party. Roar. The god of destruction attacked again. Shiryu held the spiritual sword in his hand, and the dream universe began the second round of violent turmoil. The starlight dimmed, and a drop of liquid condensed in the nebula. The universe seemed to be whimpering. Ever since Shiryu and the god of destruction started the battle, the scene of the universe seemed to have become much more desolate. After an unknown period of time, the dream universe shattered. Shiryu and the others were in the real universe again. When they saw Shiryu come out, Shiyu, who had been lingering here, immediately teleported over in surprise. She saw that Shiryu and the pets beside him were basically not injured. Moreover, there was no sign of the god of destruction. Shiyu said happily, Dad, where's the god of destruction? Could it be, he's dead? Shiryu looked at the long sword in his hand and said, I killed him. Great, you're too strong. Shiyu looked over in surprise. She simply worshipped her father from this parallel universe too much. Although her wish was to surpass Shiryu, Shiryu had helped this universe solve such a huge disaster. She still hugged Shiryu happily. Hey, hey, hey. Shiryu pushed his cosmic-level daughter away and smiled bitterly. Don't be happy too early. Although the other party is dead, the trouble hasn't been resolved. Huh? Don't tell me it can still be revived, Shiyu said in confusion. No, Shiryu's heart was extremely heavy. He was indeed prepared for it to revive infinitely, but Shiryu fell into deep thought and recalled his final confrontation with the god of destruction. Swoosh! The body of the god of destruction was divided into two by the spiritual sword in Shiryu's hand. At this moment, even its soul was quickly shattered by Qi Tong and obliterated into soul nutrients. Boom! The body of the god of destruction exploded, but before it died, its face was filled with mockery. It'll die, but this universe will also be destroyed. After that, Qi Tong began to spirit release the other party's soul and extract the other party's memories. Shiryu looked at his daughter and said, Do you know the true identity of the god of destruction? What? Isn't he a cosmic-level expert from the first era? Not only that. Shiryu smiled bitterly. He didn't expect this god of destruction to be so troublesome. Actually, the universe isn't as simple as the 11th era, Shiryu said. It's the pet of the previous holder of the universe. According to the soul memory scene transmitted by Qi Tong, Shiryu saw a small black panther snuggling beside a majestic body. Shiyu? In a certain era, a human successfully contracted the universe and became the holder of the universe, the will of the universe. However, just because you become the holder of the universe doesn't mean that you can really be eternal. As the true cosmic will that has been suppressed, you won't be willing to be contracted by others forever. Even if the contract succeeds, the holder of the universe still has to constantly guard against the backlash of the universe. The previous holder of the universe broke free of the contract and died by the universe countless years after becoming the holder of the universe. That's already a story from before the first era. And the powerful power on the god of destruction was also given to it by its master. Now you know why the power on its body is so special, right? It can cross so many eras probably because of the maintenance master. What? Shiyu was shocked. No wonder the god of destruction hated the will of the universe so much and hoped to destroy the universe. So it was to avenge its master. Then what do you mean the matter isn't over? Shiryu sighed slightly and said, although the other party died, its resentment turned into a curse and fused into the universe. It used its own death as the price to curse something and let its life flow away with it. Fine. Seeing Shiyu's worried expression, Shiryu said, its cursed target is this universe. Oh. Shiyu had been shocked for a long time. When she heard Shiryu's words, she cried again and sensed the state of the universe. If nothing goes wrong, your parallel universe won't be able to live for long. Moreover, even if the universe wants to restart, it probably won't go smoothly. We need to guard against the resentment of the dead god of destruction. I didn't expect it to do this time. Shiryu was silent. From the start, the cosmic god of destruction didn't want to live. It wanted to perish with the universe. Chapter 61-54, Did he learn from her? Sha-Mo rubbed his eyes, but he still could not sense any demonic qi from Yunshuji's body, nor could he tell that she had demonic qi cultivation. Could it be that he was hallucinating just now? Just as he was thinking, Yunshujo slapped him again. The wisps of black qi were so bright that Sha-Mo's old eyes were blinded. Moreover, he did not know if his eyes were playing tricks on him, but he felt that the wisps of black qi seemed to be mixed with a faint purple color. You. How did you do it? Sha Mo stuttered and asked. I had no choice. A genius is a genius. I just casually cultivated and it became like this. It's not that I'm bragging, but if I didn't just come to the demon continent, I would definitely be one of the best in the demon continent. After saying this, Yun Shujia's face stiffened. Why did she feel that these few sentences were similar to what Goei Batsao said last night? Could it be that Goei Batsao was so shameless and learned it from her? Sha Mo naturally did not know what Yun Shujio was thinking and was overjoyed. Now that you can cultivate demonic chi, hurry up and cultivate the cultivation techniques that the supreme demonic scripture taught you. Yun Shujio kicked Sha Mo, are you stupid? Not to mention that the damn demonic scripture did not teach me anything, even if it was really taught to me, would I dare to learn it? Sha Mo then remembered what the great elder said. If the Tian family didn't cultivate the supreme demonic book, they would die from vomiting blood. It didn't feel good to return empty-handed after entering the treasure mountain. It's okay. Although you can't cultivate the supreme demonic book, you can cultivate the cultivation method of our Sha family. With your talent and my careful teaching, you will soon rise to the top. At that time, with your evil schemes, we will definitely be able to expose that fake's true face and then return to the human continent to find the real demon emperor. Yun Shujio rolled her eyes and put Sha Mo into her spirit beast pouch. The more this old fool talked, the more excited he became and the louder he spoke. If they were discovered by Qing Mama, it wouldn't be good. Yun Shujio rubbed her chin and pondered. She had to find an opportunity to go shopping. Firstly, she had to get some information. Secondly, she had to buy some magic tools for self-defense. In particular, she had to buy a magic tool that could adjust her devil chi cultivation. In the future, it could be used to cover her rapid increase in cultivation. After a day of rest, Yun Shujio decided to go out for a walk. Although most young ladies were willing to bring their maids when they went out, Yun Shujio liked Qing Mama's, tell me everything you know, so she brought Qing Mama out. As soon as Yun Shujio left the Tian estate, she felt the gazes from all directions. Those gazes were rather complicated, and there was nothing she could do about it. The main reason was that Tian Ruhua was originally a well-known good-for-nothing, and she had previously become a jinx. However, in the blink of an eye, she had become a genius favored by Kyle Wan. Recently, she had actually obtained the qualifications to cultivate the other 8 volumes of the Supreme Demonic Code. It was simply too unbelievable. Yun Shujio did not care about these gazes. She had seen many things that were bigger than this, and these gazes were just a piece of cake for her. Qing Mama and the second prince followed behind Yun Shujio with pride and said in an attentive manner, "Ninth Miss, where should we go first? Should we go to the colorful clothes pavilion? Or the pastry shop?" Yun Shujio originally wanted to say that she would go to the shop that sold demonic tools, but she thought that Tian Rulu and the second prince would inevitably send people to keep an eye on her. In order to numb them, it would be good to go to the colorful clothes pavilion first. Thus, she brought Qing Mama to the Tsai Pavilion. You're tuning into the A Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.